challenge for you to pick. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. What's up, guys? Well, go ahead with your question, Justin, real quick.
No, no, you're good. No, you're good. I was saying, was it a challenge to pick like sequels or even bad sequels?
So I don't own a ton of bad sequels, so I
Neither.
don't think I picked any bad sequels. What I picked was just good ones, and then I figured that for the bad, that can just be almost like a discussion type thing we have, like where we don't even have to like necessarily show unless you have a couple. But
Oh, I have, yeah. I got some. I have some. Some I'm gonna start with. And by the way, hello everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for tuning
yes,
in. Um, but I do have some
be
bad
right back.
sequels,
Hold on one second.
so
Keep
we'll see
talking.
what happens. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm gonna as far as like the bad sequels go, there's like the first two, they're like have good moments in them, but but we will have to see. We will have to see on this.
All right, I'm back. I'm back.
All right.
Is your show not playing, dude? There we go. All right. So we got a couple people in here already. How you doing?
Hello.
Going?
What's up, Charlie? What's up, bud?
Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
And Dennis. Hello, Dennis.
Hey, Dennis.
All right. So, guys, welcome to our Monday tradition. I'm Nick at the Lost River Drive-In.
I'm Justin, Ryan 1988.
And we're branding this now as Haddonfield High Alumni. One, because I felt like it needed a name if we were going to continue to do this consistently,
Yeah.
and we both wanted to. And
yes.
two, because we're both Halloween geeks. So it just kind of works.
It works perfect. So, I mean, that's how we kind of like, that's how we met, like, you know, because of our love for Halloween. So it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So.
Yep. So today we are going to be talking about horror movie sequels. We've talked about remakes. We've talked about Halloween. We've talked about horror movie memories. We've talked about just horror as a whole. Today's topic is horror movie sequels. Most of this video is going to be solely dedicated to horror movie sequels that we enjoy. Toward the back end, we'll throw in a couple sequels we didn't care for. We'll talk about it a little bit. This is mostly going to be a positive talk. And it's mostly going to be, here are some underrated, or maybe they're not underrated, but you just love them. Some you might not expect. So that's what we're going to do. So starting off, right off the top, Justin, give me a horror sequel.
Okay, so starting with the good, I am going to start with, so I'm going to go with more of the mainstream one, but I absolutely love this sequel. I still love it today like I did back in 98 when I saw it on VHS. It's in this set, and that is Scream 2. I love Scream 2. Do you have that one too? Scream 2.
It's at the top of my list.
What? Wow. Two awesome minds think alike. But yeah, Scream 2. To be quite honest, I overall love this franchise. There's not one movie in this franchise I dislike. So, but yeah, Scream 2 for me as a sequel is the best one. I still love Scream 2. I think the first one's the best of the franchise, but I think Scream 2 did a lot of great things to kind of up the ante a little bit. This was the first time that we lost a character that survived the first one, died in this one, and that was Jamie Kennedy's character. I just really, really love this story. I thought they did such a great job. I love the movie theater. It's your second favorite Scream? Awesome. But I love the opening with the movie theater. I just think Scream 2 is definitely one of the best horror movie sequels ever made. They did a great job with this. Kevin Williamson did a great job. Wes Craven, just perfect. So, and I think it came out like a year after the first one. I could be wrong.
It was 98, so it was 2 years.
98, 2 years. But they did such a great job with this. So I absolutely love Scream 2. So what do you think of Scream 2?
Well, it's funny that that's the first thing you wanted to mention, because it was the first thing I wanted to mention. And when I had it near the top, I didn't put these in any order. But for me, Scream 2 is so easy to like, because everything that the first one did right, this movie does right as well. I have gone back and forth at times in my life and been like, oh, maybe Scream 2 is my favorite. Maybe. Like, oh, and then I watch Scream and I'm like, no, it's Scream. It's Scream. But that's how good this movie is.
Yeah.
The only thing that I think knocks this just a little below Scream is the ending reveal. I like the reveal in the first one better. Although,
yeah, I agree.
I will say the reveal in the first one is kind of obvious to me. Like, I knew Billy was going to be a part of it. I didn't know Stu, but that's the only thing. Aside from that, I mean, Scream, and it's not even a bad reveal in this movie. It's just not as good.
Yeah.
But this movie's awesome. And this is really when Neve Campbell starts to grow into her own. It sucks that we lost Randy. But I mean, it's a great movie. It's one of my favorite horror sequels as well. And again, it is pretty much just, it's everything Scream did right. Just like a hair, not as good. Just a hair. If we're talking about number twos in a horror franchise, you don't get much better than Scream 2.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I like the character. I like the reveal at the end. I think Debbie Salt was definitely like she just, that was a great, I don't know if you would call her like a villain. She was a grieving mother, but like she just was, the whole time she's this reporter. She's really sweet. And then you get to that ending and she just, her true colors come out. So what's going on? But what I love about Scream, what I love about the franchise is I like that every movie has a theme. So like Scream 2 is about the sequels. Scream 3 is the trilogy. Scream 4 was the remakes. I'm curious where this new Scream's going to go. Because I know Courtney Cox recently talked about how it's not a sequel. It's not a reboot. She's like, but it's part of the franchise. So I would love if they went the revival route. I mean, that's kind of a theme that we have now. So we'll have to see. But I love this franchise because they always have a theme.
Yeah. Crying says there's not a bad Scream movie. And I will agree.
I agree.
I'm not a huge fan of Scream 3, but I don't think it's a bad movie. So I really don't think and I can still enjoy it.
Yes.
See, I don't find Scream 3 boring.
I don't either.
It's fun. I'm not, when you compare it to the other three, it's definitely the most subpar. Like and that was because we've talked about this before, but because you didn't have your Randy character in Scream 3. You had Randy in Scream and Scream 2, and you had Kirby in Scream 4, but there was no character like that in Scream 3. And you need that type of character in these meta, self-aware, comedy horror type movies. You need that type of character, and there just wasn't that in Scream 3. So that's why that's I think.
My other opinion with Scream 3 is, and no disrespect to the writer, because I've seen The Ring and I love The Ring, but you didn't have Kevin Williamson write this.
Nope.
So I think you could definitely tell that there was a shift in writing. Like Kevin Williamson was supposed to come and do Scream 3. Something happened where he just did not come back. They had a new writer come in. Good writer, but you could tell it was not Kevin Williamson.
Yep.
It's like Scream 4. I really enjoy Scream 4. That movie, though, is Kevin Williamson, but they also, like, there was a fallout between the Weinsteins and Kevin Williamson, and they brought the writer in from Scream 3 to finish off Scream 4, rewrite things. And again, you could tell the difference in writing. So I think Scream 3 wasn't as strong as, the first two movies, especially. And it's just because, for me, like you said, it was not having the Randy character. And also, you could tell there was a difference in writing.
I will say, though, when it comes to Scream 3, I know a lot of people don't like this, but I'm actually a big fan of the Roman Bridger reveal. The only thing I don't like about that reveal is that there were no breadcrumbs of that at all in the previous two movies. So, like, you can tell that wasn't the plan initially. And then when they got to Scream 3, they wrote that idea, and they were like, well, we could make this all make sense. So I get it, but that's the only issue I have with it is we had no hint of this guy's existence or involvement, nothing. Because in the first movie, Billy and Stu take full credit. They're glad to take full credit. So you shoehorn Roman in there in Scream 3, and I get it, but I will say I don't think it's
No.
I don't think it's as effective, but I do enjoy. I will say I want to give credit to that. I do like Roman Bridger. I think that is a good reveal.
Scream 3 is the best. You know what? That is awesome. I mean, it's not my favorite, but again, we talked about it. There's no bad Scream movie, in my opinion. Like, yeah. I can enjoy all these movies. Like, the level for me is really enjoy up to love. So, like, Scream 3, I really enjoy it. Scream 4, I really enjoy it. And Scream 1 and 2, I love them.
Yeah. All right. So, way to kick this off with Scream. Now, let's talk about a horror sequel that I didn't even plan on talking about until I looked at my shelf and I was like, you know what? This is a super misunderstood horror sequel. And guys, most of these sequels, most of the ones I grabbed are number 2s.
I like that.
I did grab a couple that aren't the second movie in a franchise. So
yeah.
The next movie I want to talk about, and I cannot wait to see the live chat with this one, that I love, Insidious Chapter 2. This movie, I think, gets far too much hate, and I understand why. You know, a lot of people say people say the pacing's weird, it's kind of boring. I really like this movie. I think that the whole, the main plot throughout the movie the main plot of Patrick Wilson's character basically being the lady in black. And having taken over his body, and his body is slowly rotting away, and he's having to pretend like he's still, I'm still the dad, I'm still your husband, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, that's going on. You have the connective tissue from the beginning of his childhood when he's a kid and how that comes to play in the end. And I always absolutely loved the fact that you find out that it wasn't a woman, the bride, the black bride that was killing everyone. It was an old man dressing up as a woman, an insane old man. And one of the creepiest parts of this movie, I love it, is when she's like, who let this guy out of his room, blah, blah, blah. And she's talking in the hospital, and the lady at the front desk is like, he died yesterday. She's like, I just saw him in the elevator. She's like, no, he died yesterday. And that, I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh, hell no. And then the whole, inside the walls of the house with all the dead people.
I know.
I really, really, really like this movie. When people, and Sarah, really, there's hate for Insidious 2. There absolutely is, because everybody loved the first one, and then people say the third one was a return to form, but the second one is boring. I don't agree with that. I really, really enjoy Insidious Chapter 2. So that's a sequel I wanted to talk about. What do you think of Insidious Chapter 2?
So I'm not going to lie. When I first saw it, because I love the first one so much, I didn't really care for it in theaters. However, I don't think it's boring. I never thought it was boring. But over the years, since I've seen it more and more, I actually really enjoy Insidious 2, I'm sorry, quite a bit. I love the returning characters. I think they're great. I think the cast is great. Like you said, there's some really good scares in that. And I watch it over and over, and every time I watch it, those creepy moments are still very eerie. So yeah, I'm a fan of it now. Again, the first time I saw it, I wasn't too crazy about it. That was when I saw it in theaters. But now I really enjoy this movie. So,
well, and the thing about Insidious Chapter 2 that a lot of people, the difference between Insidious and Insidious Chapter 2 is the scares and the type of scares. Whereas in the first one, with the lipstick face demon, you get a lot of jump scares. And in Insidious Chapter 2, I think people misunderstand boring as tension building. There's a lot of tension building in Insidious Chapter 2. And it's you don't get those jump scares in your face. It's builds throughout the movie to the climax, which is a crazy climax. So I love the movie. I really do. In my opinion, there isn't a bad Insidious movie. And I agree. I agree with that. Stoked. I almost grabbed The Last Key off my shelf. And I want to talk about The Last Key, because I think that is also very underrated. But I was only going to do the one, but I'm super stoked for the fifth one with Patrick Wilson coming back, and Rose Byrne, and Tyler Simpkins, I think his name is. He's going to be in college now, and Patrick Wilson's directing it.
He's directing it. That's a plus. I mean, that's really cool. And it's his first movie he's directing.
Yep.
No, I'm a fan of this series. I love this series. So even Last Key, I saw that in theaters and I really enjoyed that movie.
So did I.
So.
I think The Last Key has the best demon, the creepiest
Yeah,
demon.
oh, it's so creepy.
Yeah, but they underutilized it for sure. But
Yeah,
I do think that he's the creepiest demon. But enough about Insidious Chapter 2. Justin, give me another sequel.
All right, so I'm gonna go with. I just want to talk about. I know we've already talked about this franchise, but I just want to say Halloween 2. Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Did you pick it? Did you get it? Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna pick Halloween movies because we've talked about the franchise already, but I still think Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, is still very underrated. I mean, it is for me. I think it ranks in at number 6 for me in as far as like, my Halloween franchise ranking. I love Halloween 2. I definitely like it preferred over his first movie. I know people have problems that, it's Rob Zombie kind of, some people think he went off the rails with this movie and did his own thing, but that's why I appreciate the movie so much. I love Halloween 2. I mean, we talked about it so much, but like visually, like the nightmare imageries that are in the movie, like when Laurie's having her nightmares and you have like that gothic table with all those strange creatures. I think that's really cool. I love what he did with Halloween 2 and saw it opening night when it came out. For me, it still holds up. I love this. I think it actually gets better and better with each watch. So Tyler Maine's fantastic. Scout Taylor Compton, Daniel Harris got some great emotional moments in this movie, a great score. So yeah, I love Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Yes, sir. I picked Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 as well. And I just wanted to say, for me, the big reason that I took it is because, first of all, I'm sorry you walked out of the theater because I loved this theater experience. But to each their own. But
yeah.
For me, in my opinion, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a sequel in the Halloween franchise that is a better companion piece to its previous movie than Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. And people will go, well, Halloween 2, 1981, that's the same night. That works perfect. It does, but it doesn't at the same time, in my opinion, because I think that this is a more solid follow-up to the previous film. Now, it's not saying, like, this one's better than that one. I just think it's a better linear story from movie to movie, because in Halloween 2, 1981, although it is a very enjoyable movie and it's a damn good sequel, you don't get to see what Laurie and everyone else became because of that night, because it's the same night. Whereas in this one, you see what Laurie becomes. You see what Annie becomes. You see what Brackett becomes, Loomis becomes, Michael becomes. You get to see that PTSD work like in full effect. You get to see how damaged these people are, and you really just, you really get a deep character study and dive into these people's minds. And I absolutely love it. Not to mention, I've talked about it, whatever. Yes, it is one of the most hated movies ever, and I don't know why. I do know why, because it took a lot of risks with the Halloween franchise, and a lot of Halloween fans didn't like that. But Halloween 2 is shot beautifully, acted beautifully. The kills are brutal. The original score is great. Love Halloween 2. Could go on and on about it, guys. So yes, Justin, love that pick.
Yeah, but I have to say, like, I agree with you about the character study. I think they did such a great job with the characters, and you got to see the aftermath of where they are now after the events of the first movie. Absolutely love that. That's one thing. I love Halloween 2 so much. So I'm glad you picked that one too.
Personally, like his old style. Yeah, I do too. Oh well, you got to freshen up, man. You got to freshen up. There are some gems in the Halloween franchise. Yes, I'm a Halloween fan, so I'm biased. But there are some really good movies in this series, and if you're a horror fan, I'm telling you, check them out, because there are some good movies in that series. If you want to know, reach out to me. I'll give you my thoughts on some of the better ones. But I
almost picked Halloween 4, because I think Halloween 4, in my opinion, is a pretty underrated one. Yeah. I love that.
Yep. What's up, Bill?
Hello, Bill. How are you?
And then I just want to get these last Halloween 2 comments out. Misunderstood movie. People constantly try to compare it to Halloween 2. Yes, and it shouldn't be compared to Halloween 2 81 because, again, like I said, the linear story is not the same. The stakes are not the same in this sequel as opposed to 81 sequel. So, and then, yes, his movies are pretty underrated.
I think so. There's not a Rob Zombie movie I hate, in my opinion.
But all right. So I've got one that this is going to be the first one on my list that is not a number 2 in a series. Okay. And the reason that I want to talk about this one specifically is because it's one of my favorite in this series. And that is, and I also think it's underappreciated, Curse of Chucky.
I almost picked that. Picked that. Love that.
Here's the thing with Curse of Chucky. Absolutely love Fiona Dourif in this movie. Love the isolated setting in the house. Love that you don't get to see Chucky in action till over halfway through the movie. They shroud him like old movies used to, let it build to the reveal. They do that in this movie. Love the kills in this movie. And I really love that we got some expansion on the Charles Lee Ray origin story. Everything about this movie I love. The only thing about this movie I don't like is the design of Chucky. I hated it. I thought he looked so cheesy. I really did. I did not care for the design. I wouldn't say I hated it. There's worse ones in the series design-wise. But overall, Curse of Chucky brought Chucky back to his roots and tried to make him scary again. And so Curse of Chucky comes in on my list as a horror sequel I love that I feel is underappreciated. What do you think of Curse of Chucky, Justin?
First of all, I agree with everything you said. I love Curse of Chucky. It is one of my favorites. I think it ranks. I want to do a re-ranking of them, or I don't think I've ever ranked them on my YouTube channel. But Curse of Chucky ranks high up there. I love it. I love the setting. I love the look of it. I like the fact that most of this movie takes place at night, has that great gothic feel to it, and I love like the house itself. I love that like Don Mancini went back to the roots of the more serious tone and that dark feel. I love that. Fiona Dourif, she's great. I love her in this. I mean, Curse of Chucky, though, for me, it's a great one. I agree with Chucky, the look of him. I think it's definitely not the best look we've had. I don't think it's the worst. But yeah, I love Curse of Chucky.
Yeah. Dennis, basically to your question, I've already talked about like Child's Play 2 is my favorite Child's Play movie. So for me, like this was more of an underrated gem, in my opinion. Like it's an obvious pick to pick Child's Play 2 or whatever, but this for me was like, okay, in this series, what's a sequel that I think is super good that doesn't get enough attention? And Curse of Chucky is one of those movies for me.
I agree.
Yep. So made him dark again. Yes, they did.
I love that.
Curse of Chucky is very good.
Wow, we're seeing some love for it.
Yep. Love all the Chucky movies. Don't know why a lot don't like them after Child's Play 3. I love them all too, aside from Seed. Seed was completely off the walls. I mean, there's some funny moments in it because Chucky's good for one-liners, and I love Tiffany. But they went into really weird territory. And that's another reason why I love Curse so much, because they took like 8 years off, and then they came back with Curse and reset the series. Like, okay, let's make it serious again. Like, we got a little weird in that last one. And it was very, very weird. That's the only one that I'm not a big fan of. But every other one I really enjoy.
Child's Play 3, I think, is very underrated. I saw the comment. I think it's very it's not too funny for me.
It's too funny for me.
What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say I enjoy Bride of Chucky, but it is in the bottom half of my ranking, and that's because I just feel like if you're the top, I think it comes in at 5 for me, and the top 4 for me are Child's Play 2, Child's Play, Curse of Chucky, and the remake. And I think all 4 of those movies are objectively better than Bride of Chucky. But I will say that I think Bride of Chucky, I think it came in at 5. And I love Bride of Chucky. I've loved it since I was a kid. But if we're talking about when Chucky was scary and taken seriously, Bride of Chucky was when it started to kind of go more into the comedic route. And
Mhm.
it's fun, don't get me wrong, but it's not the same. So it's right in the middle of the road for me, but I do enjoy it.
I'm not gonna lie. Well, I'm not gonna say where I rank it. It's in my top 3 somewhere,
Oh,
but
I know
we'll
you
see.
love Bride. I know
Yeah.
you love Bride.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Chucky show. I can't wait.
All
So,
right, Justin, give me another
all
one.
right. So I'm gonna go a bit under. Well, this was actually pretty underrated compared to a lot of the favorite sequels that I have. It has little to do with the first movie. It's definitely way better than part 2. And honestly, I'm just gonna say this right now. It is my favorite of this franchise. That's Exorcist 3,
Yes.
aka Legion. I When I first saw this, I didn't appreciate it as much because I was much younger. I was like, this isn't an Exorcist sequel. Like, that's when I went into this movie, that's what I thought it was going to be like, like the first movie, Reagan or whatnot. I think this is the best of of that series. I love the original. Don't get me wrong; it's a classic. It's creepy. It holds up so well. Easily one of my favorite horror movies. This one, I feel like Sarah. Yes, there we go. This I just feel is a scarier movie. It's scarier in my opinion. I think it's creepy. I think the story, the idea, some of the imagery is very creepy. Some of the scenes are creepy. I've never seen Legion, so I don't know what the director's cut is like. I just know the theatrical cut, and I love it. George C. Scott was great in this. I am Jason Miller. He's back after the first movie. He does a great job. I think the standout performance though is hands down Brad Dourif in this. Super talented actor, and I feel like outside of Chucky and that franchise, he's a really underrated actor, and he does such a great job in this movie. Like he has a good 5-minute scene with George C. Scott, and man, I love this movie so much. So, what do you think of The Exorcist 3? Have you seen this one?
Love it.
Yeah.
Love Exorcist 3. I agree with you. For me, it's really hard. Like, I want to say that I think Exorcist 3 is probably the best, but my favorite's The Exorcist, and that's simply just because when I was a kid, that was the first horror movie I ever saw, and it scared the crap out of me. So, it's just got a special place in my heart. But I will say, Exorcist 3, after coming off of The Heretic, which I thought was super disappointing, Exorcist 3 was awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Loved the franchise reset. Love me some Brad Dourif. I absolutely love the movie. That is a killer pick. And Dennis says he hasn't seen it. You have got to check it out.
Put that on your watch list. Put it on your watch list. Watch it this week.
Well, The Exorcist is one of those movies. It's one of those older movies that it may not age as well. For me, it's just got a special place in my heart, but you've got to check out 3. This is a series, in my opinion, that doesn't have a lot of good movies. Only the first one and the third one are good. I don't like the prequels, and I don't like The Heretic. But that doesn't mean they're terrible. I just think if you're going for like what's scary in this series, what am I going to really enjoy? It's 1 or it's 3. So if you've seen the first one, check out 3. I think you'll seriously be super surprised because that movie is awesome.
Watch it as a double feature. I mean, it's fantastic as a double feature because I watched it last Halloween. It was so scary. Yeah. The first movie I love. I mean, I love that movie. I think it's a classic. I think it's a staple. And for the time that it came out, I mean, we really didn't have a horror movie like that. I mean, it was. I love The Exorcist. I would love to see that in theaters someday. That would be great.
Yeah, Sarah, I saw The Exorcist when I was 8 years old. So it scared the crap out of me as an 8-year-old, especially being raised in a religious household, and I, believe that stuff, that demons exist and evil is real. And I was like, oh my God, like, no. So, The Exorcist 3 is creepy too.
I did not see The Exorcist until I was like 20 years old because my mom saw it in theaters and she had to go to the hospital that very same night. It affected her so much. My sister saw it before I did. They were scared of it. I didn't see it until I was 20. I mean, I think The Exorcist is a scary movie. I think part 3 though is a little bit scarier, especially as I'm getting older and watching them again and rewatching them. I'm like, The Exorcist 3 has an effect on me.
Yeah.
So
all right. Here's one that we've talked about before on the channel, and Justin and I have talked about, so I know a lot of you are going to agree with this. So I can't wait to hear the chat with this one. Oh, but I love this movie. The Strangers Pray at Night. Oh, my goodness. Yes.
I love it. There you go.
This movie is so good. If you go into it expecting what you got with the first movie, you'll be disappointed. Luckily for me, it had been 10 years since that movie came out, so I was ready for anything. I just wanted to see the Strangers back on screen. And
yes.
What we got was so polar opposite from the first movie, but awesome. Like,
yeah.
We went from an isolated home invasion horror movie to an open world, almost 80s slasher. And absolutely loved it. Yes, they're isolated in this trailer park, but they're going from trailer to trailer. They're you got the pool scene, you got even the police come, they show up, doesn't matter. This movie is so fun, and the best part about it is that freaking soundtrack.
I love it.
I'll never hear certain songs the same way again. Kids in America, Total Eclipse of the Heart. I'll never hear those songs the same way again because of this movie. This movie is awesome, and honestly, if you're a fan of 80s slashers, you'll watch this movie and it'll make you just want to go watch more 80s slashers. This movie's great. So what do you think?
Well, I agree with everything you said. I love the fact that the first movie, again, these movies, there was a 10-year gap, but I love that we're seeing love for Strangers too, or Strangers Pray at Night. But I like the fact that like this movie took 10 years, like there was a 10-year gap, and it came out awesome. The reveal was awesome. I love the fact that the first movie is a home invasion movie, where this one's a slasher film. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it brings back a lot of love for 80s slasher movies. I think the kills that we do get in this movie are very effective and very eerie. You sympathize with all these characters, the main family, a lot. You got that classic pool scene, which every time I watch it, I love how it was directed. I like, for example, when you have the music playing the entire time, but when they go underwater, you could still hear the music. Very, very good. They never cut away from the music at all. Yeah, I just absolutely love it. And like you said, the soundtrack is one of my favorite soundtracks. And again, if you hear one of these songs, like just on the radio or on YouTube, you'll always think of this movie now every time you listen to that soundtrack. So I love Cambodia, that the song that's in the scene where the father's about ready to die, and it's that build up. I mean, so eerie, so creepy. But that music is just so good, so good. So yeah, Straight Friday Night.
The creepiest scene in that movie, in my opinion, is that scene where he's trapped in the car and Sackhead, he's going to kill him, and you're just waiting for it. And like you said, the build up and the music, it's just, that scene is like, I'm imagining being in that position, and like at that point, I would just try to rip that thing out of me and try to get out, because if not, you're screwed. But yes, absolutely love that movie. Glad that you love it too.
I love it.
Yes, Sarah, you have to see it.
Watch it. Oh, yes. You have to watch it, Sarah. Put that on your watch list. I mean,
all right, Justin.
Okay. I'm going to go with, so this is not a part 2. Actually, I have a lot of part 2s. I didn't realize how many part 2s I had as well. I'm going to go with, though, and I almost went with my favorite one of the franchise, which I will talk about in a second. But Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Dream Master. I love this movie. I remember seeing this for the first time when I bought this DVD box set. Going on the road, we were going to California and we were just traveling, and so I had a portable DVD player with me. And I watched this, I think, during that like 2-week vacation. I think I watched it like 4 times. For me, what I love about this movie so much is, even though I do love Dream Warrior, I think that is a great sequel. It's one of the best. I love the soundtrack to this movie, like just the overall soundtrack. There's some great songs in here. Um, Dream Master, yeah, I love it. It's my third favorite too. Um, I love the characters. I think you have some great characters in this movie. I know, and I can agree with a lot of people. I think they killed off the remaining Dream Warrior characters. I think they killed them off too soon. I think they should have been in the movie a little bit longer, because now when I go back and watch it, I think they all die within the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes. But love the characters. I love the character of Alice. I think she's such a great character. She's up there as one of my favorite characters and one of my favorite final girls. I know there's some comedy in here, but it's not straight up like super funny, like something I'm going to talk about later on. I just love this. And it's, a lot of people would say this is the MTV Nightmare on Elm Street film, and I agree with that. I think it is a awesome sequel, and I love this one so much. So, but I will say, and I was going to throw this in here, but I'll just give a shout out to this, because you could technically call it a sequel, but it kind of stands on its own. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. So I just want to mention that. I love this. This is actually my favorite one of the franchise, so just throwing it out there. But yeah, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Just want to talk about that real quick. But yeah, as far as like a sequel, Dream Master, I love it. So
yeah,
absolutely love it.
I'm a big fan of New Nightmare, so
I love New Nightmare. Yeah. I had to mention it.
Dream Master was not one of my favorites the first time I watched it, or the second time. I haven't watched it in a while. I need to revisit it, but because I feel like I might have been a little too harsh on it. So, but I love that you love it. There are, for me, I think Dream Master is far better than Dream Child and Freddy's Dead. I think that Dream Master, the series went down a weird path that, I don't know. Luckily, New Nightmare kind of reset the franchise, but I can see the love for it.
I mean, I just saw a comment, the song Anything, Anything, and Rick doing karate. I mean, for me, that is like one of the best things. I love the soundtrack. I will work out to the Nightmare on Elm Street 4 soundtrack. So yeah. I love it.
New Nightmare is a classic. Yes, it is.
I love New Nightmare. And I initially just pulled this one, but some people would consider this, even though it's part of the franchise, it does stand on its own. It's its own thing in some ways, if that makes sense. But this is my favorite of the franchise. Like, I love New Nightmare. I absolutely love that. So
yes, I know the remake is your favorite, and you're gonna die on that hill, and I respect it.
I really enjoy the remake. I almost very close love it. Very, very close love it.
All right. Well, I've got one that the sequel isn't really that much of a horror film. The first one is definitely a slasher movie. Not really arguable. This one's more of a slasher comedy science fiction. But I love this sequel. I don't talk about this a lot. I don't hear a lot of people talk about it a lot, period. And that sequel is going to be Happy Death Day to You.
Ooh, I almost actually was going to talk about that one. So, but yeah.
I love Happy Death Day to You. My thing is, and so we're a divided household. I showed Brooke Happy Death Day, and she loved it. She really enjoyed it, thought it was cool, thought it was fun. We went and saw Happy Death Day 2 in theaters. I had a blast, and she was, I didn't care for it, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't like a slasher, it wasn't a horror movie anymore. There are elements of the slasher still to it, obviously, because you have the killer story that they're trying to solve. But it's definitely more science fiction in this movie. But I think the thing that really just carries this movie is Jessica Roth as Tree. She is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I can't put into words how well she did in this movie. And the scene where she has to make the decision to say goodbye to her mom, you know, and not live in this dimension anymore. She needs to go back to her life. I mean, that scene in the theater, I was like, that's heavy stuff. But yes, I absolutely love Happy Death Day to You. And I hope that there's more love for it because I really enjoy this movie. But what are your thoughts, Justin?
You know, I wish I would have saw that in theaters. I was hearing some of the reviews, and you know, a lot of people were hating on it. Critics really didn't like it. I I'm very close to saying I love it, but I really, really, really enjoy that sequel. I think it's great. I think what I love about it though is it stands on its own. It's not trying to follow the same kind of slasher formula that the first one had, or even like I would still say it's technically a horror movie, but it's not a straightforward horror movie either. So I love the fact that there was a sequel made and it didn't try to do this like overall same formula that the first one had. Yeah. And I think Jessica, is it Jessica Roth?
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a great actress. I think she's underrated as far as like, you know, just an actress. I have seen other films that she's in. I think she's super talented, and she definitely carries this franchise. So I hope we get a third one.
Yeah, and that's a perfect way to tee this up. Sarah, the director, Christopher Landon, wants to make a third one. Jessica Roth wants to make a third one. Everybody wants to make the trilogy, but Blumhouse keeps tiptoeing around it because this movie, and get this, okay? So the movie was made on like a, I don't know, $10 million budget or something like that. Made over $60 million.
Wow.
The first one made $125 million. They were like, oh, we made half as much as we did with the first one. Yeah, we don't know about a third one. So they pumped the brakes on it. I will say, and I'm super bummed about that because
yeah,
I think the idea for the title is Happy Death Day Tree, because
yeah,
it's the third one in her name, you know, obviously, which I love. But I will tell everybody, if you did like those two movies, Christopher Landon did say recently that he believes somehow, some way that he'll be able to end his story. He believes that a third story will come out, whether it's via streaming, a theatrical release, whatever it may be. He believes that it will happen. So,
yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
You're good. You're good.
No, I think it's gonna happen. I really want to see a third one. I think it's crazy, and I'm not dissing on Blumhouse, but they can make 6 Paranormal Activity movies and a 7th one coming, but they can't do a third Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
What I think's going to have the other reason why I think a Happy Death Day 3 is going to happen is Christopher Landon's previous recent movie Freaky was a huge hit for a pandemic film that came out and like did so well. So maybe with Freaky being a hit, we will get that final Happy Death Day 3.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because Christopher Landon also did say that his hope is to merge those universes. So
that could work.
That would be really cool. I still haven't seen Freaky yet.
Oh,
I want to.
I want to. You gotta watch.
I love the trailer. Love the trailer.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's Happy Death Day. Justin.
All right. I'm going to go with a sequel. Again, we talk about how, you know, like with Happy Death Day to You and Strangers Pray at Night, you know, it's a sequel, but they do their own thing. The first movie, before I get to this, the first one is a horror movie. It is scary. It's intense. This one, while it is a horror movie, it does rely on a lot of comedy, but it's still very, very good. That is Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. First time I saw this, I didn't hate it, but I was a little taken back by it. So I've always really enjoyed it. Now I love it, though. I love the fact that they were able to take comedy and make it work. And of course, Tobe Hooper came back and directed the sequel. I thought he did such a great job with this. It's not my second favorite in the franchise, but as far as like sequels go, if we're just talking sequels, it's definitely hands down the best sequel. Yeah, I love this. Caroline Williams, I think she was great. I wish, maybe part 3 would have continued with that character. I love the look of it. For me, and see if this makes sense, or if this makes sense at all. It's very like bright colors. Like he used a lot of bright colors in this. Yeah, I love this chop top. Great. Bill, is it? Yeah, Bill Moseley. I'm drawing a blank. Bill Moseley. Great villain. Yeah, I love this. What's up, buddy? How are you? But yeah, I love this. So
well,
yeah,
I love that movie too. And
yeah,
when I did my Texas Chainsaw Massacre ranking video a couple weeks ago, I mentioned how crazy it is that Bill Moseley gave us two of the most iconic characters in, I'd say, modern horror history, with Chop Top and then Otis. I think both of those characters are insanely good. And that's a testament to Bill Moseley. He's a great actor.
Yes,
the thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 that not enough people talk about, is it is totally different tonally than the first movie, and that's the point. Tobe Hooper said, he was very open about, I will not do a sequel if you're asking me to do the same thing over again. I don't want to do that. And so they basically gave him free reign to make the movie he wanted to make, and the movie he made was balls to the wall. It's bigger. I mean, everything is just bigger. The set pieces, the budget, the length. I mean, it's just a big movie, and I love it. I love TCM.
I love it too. It's over the top, but it's so great. I love it.
Oh yeah,
Isaiah. Yes.
A lot of TCM love in here as well. Good job,
guys. I'm loving it. Yeah, absolutely love it.
Hopefully I don't get hate for this one, guys, because this is a sequel. No, it's not a remake. We're going to talk about it real quick. It's not a remake. It is a sequel to the original film. Real quick, let me see if it'll bring up my movie ticket before the ring light's killing it. Come on.
I'm kind of curious what you...
All right, well, the ring... Oh, there it is.
Oh, the Blair Witch.
Yes, and 2016's Blair Witch. Now, before anybody comes for my head, I loved this movie. And I remember the marketing campaign was genius. It was initially called a movie just called The Woods.
I remember that, yeah.
Nobody knew what it was until the night of the premiere. And literally at the premiere, the people went into the theater, watched it. I remember the story. And they changed out all the posters. They changed out all the promo art in the theater for the premiere. And then when everyone left, all the posters were different. It said Blair Witch. Everybody was like, oh my God, like what? And they duped everyone, even at the premiere of this movie. And that was a few weeks before it came out. And then they were just like, bam, Blair Witch sequel. It is a sequel because he's going after his sister Heather from the first movie. And I just love the movie. The whole climax. Here's the thing. The Blair Witch Project does the first 2 acts of its movie better than the first 2 acts of this movie. However, the third act of this movie does better than the third act of the Blair Witch Project. And that is because the Blair Witch Project's climax, obviously a lot of it is left up to the imagination, but we wanted to get something. It was a very ambiguous ending. It was very open-ended. Everyone was kind of like, well, what happened? Well, in this one, you get the main actress in that claustrophobic scene of her crawling through the tunnel under the house, and you hear the creature or whatever behind her. And she's like hyperventilating and can't get through the tunnel. That freaked me out in the theaters because I'm claustrophobic. So I was like, oh man, no. The creature in the house, it is not the witch. Everybody says, oh, is that the Blair Witch? No, Simon Barrett and Adam Wingard said that long creature is not the witch. But they would have, if they made a sequel, they were going to expand upon that. But obviously it didn't get a sequel. Don't know why, because it made like 3 times its budget, but whatever. But I love this movie. I love that we got to see more, because whereas the Blair Witch Project was theater of the mind, what you don't see scares you. This movie, it doesn't show you a ton, but you do get a little bit. You get, and you get noises. And I love that. You get creature noises like, well, what the hell is this thing? And when they snap that stick figure and the girl just snaps in half, I was like, what is happening? Absolutely love this movie. I dig the hell out of this movie, guys. I think it's underappreciated. And let's see, Crying loves it. Hell yeah. But Blair Witch 2 is your favorite.
I love Blair Witch 2.
I still have to rewatch that. Blair Witch is good. And it's funny to think the director went on to direct Godzilla vs. Kong. Yes, he did. And that's a damn good movie. And then CHH says, I saw Blair Witch in the theater. I like the drone shots. The drone shots are great. I don't know if that's your way of saying, wasn't a huge fan of it, but I love the drone shots. But you're right. The drone shots are great. But, Justin, what do you think of Blair Witch?
So I loved it in theaters. I had such a great time seeing it in theaters. We were in a theater and barely anybody there, but like the speakers would pick up on even the small noises in the movie. So I can't remember like certain like moments, but like we were like looking around the theater going, is that like, I think it was like water dripping or something. I can't remember what it was, but like those speakers like really would catch like the smallest noises. Loved it in theaters. Watched it a second time, and I really enjoyed it. It went down a little bit for me. But I agree. I think that is definitely a sequel. I know some people like to call it a reboot or remake. For me, it is definitely a sequel. There is that connection there with the first one. I like that they expanded on things. I thought that was great. Like you said, the ending is definitely there's more to the ending than the original film had. But yeah, I really enjoy it. Now, talking about part 2 real quick, I almost threw this in here as one of my favorite underrated sequels. I love part 2. I love Book of Shadows. I think they did a great job with that one too. And hopefully you what?
I am alone in this. Like everybody in the chat right now, Crying loves it. Christian loves Book of Shadows. You love Book of Shadows. And here I am. And just a month ago, I put it in one of my top 10 worst horror movies ranking. And now I feel like I know I have to give it a rewatch because I don't think it's as bad as I thought it was. If I'm being totally honest with myself, the night that I watched it like 3 years ago, it was 3 a.m. I had some adult beverages. I don't remember a lot of it, but I just remember I thought it was really boring. But again, I haven't seen it in a while. So if you love it, I respect the hell out of that. But I need to watch it again because I feel like a loner now, and I don't want to like hate on a movie that might actually be really good.
It's when you first watch the movie, like after, because you got to think like 99 is when the first one came out, and had a lot of love. It was a hit in theaters. People saw Blair Witch 2, and I think they were expecting that first movie. It is so it's different. It is a different movie. So I can understand where you had mixed to negative feelings on it. When I first saw it back in 2000, I didn't appreciate it as much because I was like, this is very bizarre and it doesn't make sense. But over the years, I've grown to really love that. So, Book of Shadows. What's up, bud? Hey, David. How you doing, buddy? But yeah, Book of Shadows. I do love it.
Yeah, that's another thing that I hear a lot of people talking about is the director's cut of Book of Shadows. I don't know what all the like behind the scenes issues were there. I know I've heard Christian talk about it before, and I believe I've heard you talk about it too, is that there definitely was some back and forth with the studio and the director of what to do with the film, and the final product, I guess the director wasn't happy about. Maybe a director's cut would be better. Yeah.
There was definitely some studio interference with that movie. Let's see.
Don't condone Nick. He needs to come around on Book of Shadows.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You gotta watch it. You have to watch it, Nick. But like I said, yeah, there's a director's cut. I don't know how much of the footage still exists. I would love to see the director's cut because the director says it is a different movie compared to the theatrical version. So I'd be curious to see how different it is.
Yeah. Yeah, really I know. Crying keeps telling me I have to watch it. Every time we do a stream and I talk about Blair Witch 2, Crying is like, hey, you need to watch it again. Give it a chance. I'm like, I know. So don't worry, guys. I'm going to watch it again.
From the littlest stuff, let's see. Well, thank you, David. Thank you for coming in, buddy.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
thank you for coming in.
But
yeah, I love it.
It's your turn, Justin.
Okay, so we're talking about sequels that took like a good gap to come out after the first movie. And on the front of this Blu-ray, it says it took 22 years later. So it took 22 years to get a sequel to the classic film. That is Psycho 2. Ooh. I love Psycho 2. First one's my favorite. I love the original. I have so many great memories seeing that. But talk about a sequel that came out 22 years later after the first movie that did such a great job. And yes, it's a sequel, but for me, I also think it stands on its own. I think it is a well-made sequel. You have great writing from, let's see.
They're talking about a song. You're good.
Okay. But yeah, the writing by Tom Holland, he did such a great job with it. I love the direction. Yes, Sarah, love it. Richard Franklin, he directed this movie. Yeah, just Psycho 2. I think, Anthony Perkins did such a great job. Meg Tilly did a great job. Vera Miles. It's really cool that we talked about Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 and how you got to see how these characters were affected by the events of the first movie. I like the fact that you get Vera Miles and you get some of these returning characters come back and you get to see how they've been affected by the events of the first movie. For me, this is such a great sequel. It's an underrated sequel. Absolutely love Psycho 2. And to be quite honest, like it's one of my favorite franchises. It's not like top 5 favorite franchises, but I think it is a great franchise, a very underrated franchise.
Yeah,
but yeah, Psycho 2, love it.
We are getting a lot of Psycho 2 love in the chat.
Love Psycho 2. Yeah, it's great.
Let's see.
It is amazing. Yeah.
Proudly on the collector's edition of Psycho 2. It is very well directed, and Tom Holland, I think, is. I still don't understand why. Tom Holland. I feel like outside of like very like the niche group that we're in doesn't get talked about enough because some of his movies are awesome. I mean Fright Night, Child's Play, and then Psycho 2. Like the dude in the 80s was awesome. I mean, he was awesome. Yeah. I thought he didn't make bad movies. Like it just a great writer. I love Psycho 2. I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of the sequels after that. But I will say that I think that Psycho 2 is fantastic. So that's a good pick.
So awesome. The fact that they were able to make a sequel 22 years later after the first movie, and it was so great, and it still holds up now is amazing. So
well, Sarah, thank you for teeing me up.
Wow. Love that.
What's my next sequel?
What's your next one?
Oh no, I dropped it. Well, The Conjuring 2. Yes.
I almost picked that too.
Talked about this movie at nauseum. And that is because this, in my opinion, I'm 26 years old. It is one of the best horror films of my lifetime. Both movies I think are fantastic. I literally cannot contain my excitement for the third movie. I've been waiting years for it. Here's the thing. The Conjuring is scarier. It is definitely scarier than The Conjuring 2. But that doesn't take away from the fact that The Conjuring 2 is still scary. But I think The Conjuring 2, and this is not a popular opinion, is a better film than The Conjuring. And I think that is because I think it has more emotional depth. I think it has a better story. I think that the fact that there are stakes for more than just the family. You have Lorraine's story with her demon, the nun, and then how that comes into play with the family. I love the whole, like, is she faking? Is this a lie? Is this a hoax? I love that the ghost haunting the house isn't even really haunting the house. He's being forced to stay there because of the demon.
Yep.
So much about this movie that I think is just absolutely fantastic. Pinpoint perfection. Love The Conjuring 2. One of my favorite horror movies of my lifetime. And what do you think, Justin?
I love The Conjuring 2. I almost picked that too. So awesome minds think alike. I was going through my movies and I'm like, what sequels do I want to pull? And I almost went with Conjuring 2. I love Conjuring 2. I love it as a double feature. Like I watched it last October with the first movie, and they're hands down the best ones in this universe, this franchise. Um, love Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. I think they are just their chemistry on screen is perfect. You got some great scares in it. The nun, Valak, she is so creepy. But yeah, I love The Conjuring too. So again, I almost picked that one. I almost picked it, but I'm glad you talked about it because now I get to talk about it. So
Yes.
I love The Conjuring too. I'm ready for Conjuring 3.
Oh yeah. And then real quick on the Psycho discussion, Sarah, to your question. So here's the thing. This might not be a popular opinion for some. I actually like 4 better than 3.
I do too.
Having said that, though, I don't love 4. I don't think it's garbage. You know, it's decent. But for me, I found 3 to be almost a chore to get through sometimes. But I enjoyed 4. 4 was a nice refresher. So, yes, I have seen it, and I do like it.
I think 3, when I first saw it, it's grown on me because Psycho 3, when I first saw it, was a little off-putting. It had a different style and a different feel. And it's the one that Anthony Perkins directed. Rest in peace. I love Anthony, but yeah, when I first saw Psycho 3, I didn't care for it too much, but it's grown on me over the years. I do agree. I think Psycho 4 is definitely better. I think it's a great prequel sequel. So absolutely love it.
Brian, I am not even going to address that. You are a hater. And
I love The Conjuring. I love it. I think, me personally, this is how I feel when a lot of people say they don't like the Conjuring films, or they don't have the nicest things to say about it, is because we've had so many movies in this universe that maybe people are just tired of it. But those first 2 movies, like hands down, like the best ones of that universe. I love them.
All right, Justin, give me another one.
All right, so I'm going to go with Night of the Demons Part 2. Love. So, I mean, the first one, the first one's fun, but it's also very dark. It's very eerie, in my opinion. That's how I kind of see it. Part 2 is just a lot of fun. And I don't think it gets enough love. I love Night of the Demons too. I go back and forth each time. Do I like the original Night of the Demons or do I like Part 2 better? I think right now I like Night of the Demons 2 slightly better. I think it's great. I love the fact that Amelia Kincaid came back as Angela. She was in the original trilogy. She came back for Part 3. I love she came back. And, I've met her a couple times and she's fantastic. But she's great as Angela. I love that, and she gets to do a lot more. I feel she gets to do a lot more in this movie as the character. I recently watched the first Night of the Demons for the first time. Yeah, well, the first one is great. I'm glad you got to see it. Love the first movie, but yeah, Part 2 also, has some fun kills. I like the kills. I think they're over the top and fun. It's the first one of the franchise that I saw, and it's just because one day I was at home. I had to stay home from school because I was sick, and my mom was working, and she had borrowed a VHS tape from a friend of hers, and it was Night of the Demons 2, and it did not have the cover. It was just the VHS tape. And I put the movie on, and as a kid, it scared me so much. But now I love this movie. So Night of the Demons 2. I love it.
And unfortunately, I cannot give you guys anything on that because I haven't seen it. But I'm going to watch it. This is added to my list because I know Justin loves it. So I need to watch it so we can have intellectual conversation about it. But if Justin likes it, you guys have watched all these streams. By now, you know that we have very similar opinions. Like, we really do. So if Justin likes it, I'll probably like it. I loved the first one. I really had a good time with it. I thought it was fun. Like Justin said, little dark, of a movie, but
oh, eerie. Yeah.
but I do
Second one was
enjoy
fun.
it, so I have to check out the second one.
I mean, you
Yeah,
know
go
it's campy when Angela has a skeleton sucker. Like, you know it's a little campier.
Yeah.
But it's so good. It's fun.
Yeah. And then Stone, real quick, asked if anybody has seen Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead.
I loved it.
You watched
it? I saw it on the big screen. They had it this past weekend near a theater in Louisville, and I got to see it with friends. Awesome movie. And my opinion, slightly better than Dawn of the Dead. So I love it. Really love it.
Did you see Spiral this weekend?
I haven't seen it yet. I want to.
I have not seen Spiral yet either.
I want to.
So if you've seen Spiral, let me know what your thoughts were.
Yes.
Don't spoil anything.
Yeah, I want to see it.
And the only reason we didn't see it yet is because we didn't have a babysitter. So and I'm not taking my kid, a 1-year-old, to go see Spiral and hope that he's going to be quiet, because he won't be. But gotta wait till it comes out on Netflix this Friday. Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for.
You'll love it. You'll love it.
You know, it's like I can't. There's only so much I can do if I can't get a babysitter, so I'm just gonna watch it when it comes out on Netflix. And then Stone, yes, I am also looking forward to A Quiet Place Part 2. That is going to be awesome. I was really worried at first when they announced the sequel to that movie, because I thought the first one was so good. And I was like, where do you go from here? And I was very trepidatious about it until I saw the first trailer. And then when I saw the first trailer, I was like, okay, that looks awesome. Like, I also think that John Krasinski carried that movie. So I was like, well, he's dead now. So the fact that they're kind of showing us, it's like part prequel, like they're going to show us flashbacks and whatnot, as well as a sequel to the first one, I'm all for it, because I need some John Krasinski. And Crying wants to know real quick, what do you guys think about Final Destination 3 and Hostel 3? Loved Final Destination 3. My brother actually still won't ride roller coasters because of it, and he's 24. And I did not like Hostel 3. What about you, Justin?
Final Destination 3, I actually almost pulled that movie as one of my favorite sequels. I love Final Destination 3. I saw it in theaters, had such a blast, had a great time with it. It might not be my favorite. I don't know if it's my favorite opening of all like the Final Destination movies. It might be. I love Part 3. I almost pulled that and talked about it. I almost got it. Hostel 3, I remember it being okay, but it was not needed.
No, I don't even think Hostel Part 2 was needed, personally. I don't hate Part 2. Like, Part 2 is decent. I didn't think it was needed. I do love, though, in Hostel Part 2. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
You're fine.
I love her cutting off the dude's member and feeding it to the dog. That was awesome. That, just loved that part. And I loved the scene from, what's the girl's name? I don't know the actress's name. She's Randy's sister in Scream 3.
Oh, yeah. That was so intense.
And she's hanging upside down over the tub. Yeah.
So intense. So disturbing.
It's a good movie. The thing about the Hostel movies for me, I do really enjoy the first one, but there is just far too much unnecessary nudity and partying and dumb crap for the first half of the movie, where I'm just like, I get it. Like, it's a bunch of young kids partying, doing whatever, but it's like, give me the kills. I want the gore. I want the torture. That's what these movies are about. I don't want to see all that. I mean, it doesn't bring a movie down for me. It's just kind of boring, because I'm like, that's not what I'm here for. Like, show me the eyeball getting burned out with the torch. Like, that was awesome. So yeah.
I'm going to say Hostel Part 2 is my favorite, though. But,
Heather Meyer's okay.
I think the first one's great. I think the second one slightly better. There's something about it. I think her death, though, is so disturbing. I can't go and watch those movies a lot, though, because I think they're pretty dark and disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great movie? See No Evil. If you've never seen See No Evil, I think that's actually better than the Hostel.
I saw that movie when it came out. We rented it from Blockbuster. And that was the last time I've seen it. I haven't seen it since then. I remember I did enjoy it. I had fun with it. So it's definitely something I need to check out. Let's see. And then Stone says, next to Psycho 2 and Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, another favorite is Gremlins 2, even though it swims more in satire than horror. Hence why purists didn't like it, who wanted a traditional horror sequel. Yeah.
I like Gremlins 2. I really enjoyed Gremlins 2.
I'm still waiting on a third one. I mean, Gremlins 3 is kind of like what Ghostbusters became, where we waited and waited and waited, and eventually they're like, all right, we'll give you a new movie. We'll put Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd in there and whatever. They'll probably only get like one scene in this new Ghostbusters movie, but I think that's what's eventually going to happen with Gremlins. You're not going to get a traditional Gremlins 3. You're eventually going to get a new movie just called Gremlins that will recognize the events of the first two movies, but also try to reboot. That's what I think will happen, personally.
Question for you. Did you see the Mountain Dew commercial with Zach Galligan and Gizmo?
Yes. Yeah.
That was cool. I was like, nostalgia. Loved it. I really enjoyed Gremlins too. I loved it as a kid. It's gone down a little bit as I grow older, or as I'm older, but I never get the hate for it. Like I've always had a fun.
I mean, it's fun. Yeah. I think people, I don't know. I think people just, they rather go with, they want the same thing from the previous movie, and even if the next movie is fun and it's a blast and you really enjoy it, they're like, well, it wasn't the same, so it gets unnecessary hate. But yeah, that's enough of Gremlins 2. And Crying says that they also love Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. So does Justin.
I do.
Yes. So I still haven't seen them. You guys remember that, so don't spoil anything. But let's go into our next sequel. This is obvious. No one's going to be surprised when they see me pull this one. Justin, you may have already pulled it, or you may have thought about pulling it, but I guarantee you this is on your list. Evil Dead 2.
I almost pulled it. I love it.
Dead by Dawn. I absolutely love this movie. It is my favorite Evil Dead film. The only thing about this movie that's confusing to a lot of people, and it is to me, not anymore. We've gotten used to it, but it's the beginning, obviously, where you're like, is this a remake? When in reality, it's actually supposed to just be a recap, but they recast people. So they did shoot it again, but it's just supposed to be a recap of the first movie. So I know that's why it confuses some people, but then after that, you get, the new story for Evil Dead 2, continuing after the events of the first one. Dude, I love this movie. I mean, I love this movie. I think one of the creepiest scenes in a horror movie when I was growing up was Henrietta in the cellar. That is just pure nightmare fuel. I love the scene where he's just losing his mind laughing, and you have like the lamp and the deer and the chair and everything laughing with him, and you're just like in Bruce Campbell's mind in that moment. And you're like, this guy has totally snapped. And then the hand, obviously one of the most iconic scenes in this franchise when he has to cut off his hand. Love Evil Dead 2. Yes, Sarah, it is groovy. Yes, Ben, it is. It deserves to be your favorite horror movie because it's fantastic. You've only seen Evil Dead 2, and Evil Dead 2013. Check out Army of Darkness. It is super fun, but it is my least favorite, but it is so fun. And then Jamie says, Bruce is the king. Hail to the king, baby. That is right.
Yes, he is.
So, for me, Evil Dead 2, I think it's better than the first movie. Justin, what do you think of Evil Dead 2?
I love Evil Dead 2, and I almost pulled that. That was actually one that I had in my hand, and I'm like, I won't talk about that one. But again, I'm glad you're talking about it, because I get to talk about it now, because I love Evil Dead 2. And I always go back and forth. Do I love the first one or the second one better? Right now, I'm going to say the first one, but the second one is so close. I think that is another great example, or another perfect example of how to do a sequel. Absolutely love it. I like the fact that it's more fun. It's over the top, but it's so good. And absolutely love it. The characters, some of those practical effects, the idea that this movie has like, even like the littlest things, like, the different colored blood, like the blues, and just, I love it. I mean, it's so good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Sarah says she has 3 copies of Evil Dead 2. Damn, that is nice.
I got this. Yeah, they just did a steelbook. I got that one.
Oh my goodness. I understand what you mean though, Stone, because like I said, Halloween is my favorite franchise. And Resurrection's my least favorite, but I don't think Resurrection is just a terrible movie. You know what I mean? Like, when when you love a series so much, it almost feels like I don't know, almost blasphemous to like rank them, because you're like, I don't want to say that this movie's bad because it's not.
Yeah.
It's my least favorite. So I get what you mean, Stone. All 4 movies I think are awesome. This is one of
Yeah,
the
I do
only
too.
series in horror that I think you could say objectively all 4 of these movies are good movies, and they
Yeah.
are. So, but yeah, all right, Justin, give me another sequel.
All right, so I'm going back to my days where I saw this on VHS, going to a mom and pop video store, going through the horror movie aisles, checking out the VHS tapes. I rented the first one, loved it. Then I rented this one, I loved it. That is Witchboard 2: The Devil's Doorway. Right now, I think the second one's better, but I do love the first one. Second one, though, I just absolutely love it. I think the story's slightly better. I love the fact that you can take a sequel and it's better than the first movie. Rest in peace, Tawny Katane, though. I gotta say, rest in peace to her, because I love that first movie so much. I met her, and I'll always have those great memories. But yeah, Witchboard 2. Kevin Tenney came back, directed the movie. Amy Dolenz, hopefully I'm saying her name right. I think she's a great lead. I think there's actually some really good eerie moments in this movie. Love the third act. Just love everything about it. For me, Witchboard 2 is not only one of my favorite sequels, but one of the most underrated sequels out there, horror movie sequels. Love Witchboard 2. A lot of great memories watching this on VHS tape. So love Witchboard 2.
Well, I have not seen it, guys, but I have not seen either one. But Justin speaks. Hey, no. Justin speaks very highly of both of those movies. So it's definitely 2 movies that I need to check out. But I have not seen them. But let's see. Yes.
Yeah. And I know.
Then, Crying wants to know if you like Cherry Falls. I haven't seen it.
I love Cherry Falls. I remember seeing that on USA. That was how they premiered the movie, and it's so funny. I have the Blu-ray, and I watched the director's interview, and they actually made that movie for it to go to theaters, and then for some reason they just decided to release it on USA, and I can't believe it's going to be 21 years since that movie came out. But yeah, I love it. Let's see. One of my favorite sequels of all time. Amityville 2: The Possession. Jamie, I actually almost threw that in my pile of movies. I love Amityville 2: The Possession. It's actually my favorite of that whole entire franchise universe. Absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic too. And I think it's very scary. Like, for me, that is a scary movie. And, we talk about The Exorcist, and it's a scary film. I think Amityville 2: The Possession is probably the scariest possession movie out there. I love Amityville 2.
Yeah, Amityville 2 is a very, very good movie. I would have pulled it had if I owned it. I used to have it on DVD. I'm actually in the process of buying all the movies on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I just bought the original, and I just bought the remake on Amazon the other night. It's not here yet. But Amityville 2, I like. I also liked the newer one, Amityville: The Awakening. I did too.
I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, I mean, Amityville 2, so good. So good. Very underrated. But I'm glad, like, when I first saw that movie on TV, it was like early 2000s, late 90s. Like, not a lot of people were talking about it, but I'm glad now more and more people are talking about it, and it's getting love. Yeah, Amityville 2: The Possession. I actually also, I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I actually love Amityville 3D for its campiness. So this trilogy, the first 3 movies, I just absolutely love them. So.
Yep. And then people are talking about Urban Legends 2. I love Urban Legends 2.
I actually almost pulled that one too. I think it's great.
And then Stone says he had Diane Franklin on the podcast back in January, where she talked about both Amityville films she did.
I saw that. That was awesome.
And then just some more Amityville love. All right. So can you not be grabbing these things? Thanks. So my next movie that I want to talk about, and this is really going to ruffle some feathers, Justin. I know you know how I feel about this movie. I talked about it on my social media before. I've talked about it on the channel. And by the way, I deactivated my Facebook, if that's why you haven't seen me on Facebook. I still have Messenger. I'm just off the grid right now. I'm getting kind of tired of social media. So I've been kind of off the grid. So no, I didn't unfriend you or anything. I've been having people ask me like, oh, like, and I'm like, no. But anyway, the next movie I want to talk about is probably one of my favorite sequels ever. And I think it's better than its predecessor. And that movie, and this is, okay. Dr. Sleep.
Oh.
Listen. I know what everybody's going to want to say. Oh, well, The Shining is a classic. You're absolutely right. It is a classic. Here's the problem. I think Dr. Sleep's better. And I think Dr. Sleep is better because Stephen King himself said that this film is far more in line with his source material than Kubrick's Shining was. Now, I love Kubrick's Shining. I don't think anybody will ever say that they don't like The Shining or The Shining is not a good movie. I love The Shining. But Dr. Sleep, Ewan McGregor as Danny Torrance as an adult, incredible performance. A 3-hour director's cut runtime. So you get all the exposition, all the character development, everything you could need and or want is in this movie. You don't ever go like, I wish we got more of this. I wish we got more of that. No, you get everything you could want with Dr. Sleep. But the best part about Dr. Sleep is for the first 2 hours, it lives on its own without needing to be, oh, hey, we're a sequel to The Shining. It doesn't lean into that at all. And then you get the climax, which is I'm sorry, I was like reading a comment while I was saying this. The climax is one of the best climaxes I've seen in a horror film. When Danny walks back into well, first of all, you just get the recreated shots of the Overlook and the journey to the Overlook. Same thing. They recreate them from the first movie. You get the theme. I love the theme. And he walks in the Overlook and the lights start coming on. And I think he says, wakey. And it's like that the Overlook is waking up. And oh my God. And you get the twins back. You get the scene with, although it's not Jack Nicholson, you get a scene where he's the bartender and he's talking to his father in the Overlook. And I mean, I love this movie, guys. I could go on forever about it. And the Steelbook is beautiful.
That is a beautiful steelbook.
Yes, but and I will always cherish. I saw this opening night, and I thought that it was going to be I thought Joker was going to be my favorite movie of 2019, and then a week later, this came out, or a few weeks later, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, this is easily my favorite. I think I've ranked it. It's in my top 5 horror movies of all time. So. I know I could ramble about this, but Dr. Sleep, I think, is a masterpiece. And there are a bunch of comments about it that I saw coming through. And that is just, Dr. Sleep is awesome. You are absolutely right. Crying if you did not like The Shining, that's fine. Because Dr. Sleep, for the first 2 hours, lives on its own. Not until you get to the Overlook do you really need to have seen The Shining. Speaking as someone who is a notorious non-fan of The Shining, but I saw Dr. Sleep and thought it was great, except the third act back to the Overlook. Oh, yes. You do need to see the 3-hour director's cut. You get a half hour more of Danny as a kid and extended scenes in the Overlook. And I think it is absolutely incredible. People with superpowers hunting another person with superpowers. Yes, but it's their shine. You know, the Shining set that
that's
up.
a sign. Yeah.
Hard to watch the death of the baseball kid. Yes,
it's tough. Yeah, it's so
that
tough.
scene in the movie, and you're like, oh wow, they're not messing around. Ben loved it. Jamie loved it. Sarah says she can't wait to watch it. Love the book.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm telling you guys. I know we don't always agree on everything, but Dr. Sleep, I think, is a masterpiece. I love this film. And then Corduroy says Dr. Sleep still has deleted material that could have made the movie better. I also hate they changed the ending. Not the hotel stuff, but them. Oh, nope. Spoiler. I had to take it out, guys. There was a spoiler. If you don't want to know, don't rewind and read what that comment said. I'm sorry. Oh, God, no. Ignore the chat for right now, guys. There's a spoiler if you have not seen it. But anyway, Justin, thoughts on Dr. Sleep?
I love it. I also saw it in theaters, and I wish it would have done better as far as the box office goes, because I think that is an awesome movie. I absolutely love it. It's hard to say. I mean, I grew up with The Shining. I love Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. I know he changed so much of it, so I slightly prefer that. But I think that Doctor Sleep is not only an awesome sequel, I think it's an awesome film that can stand on its own as well. Yes, it's a Shining sequel, but it stands on its own, and I love it so much.
That is a mark of a great film.
Yeah.
Oh, God, crying. No, guys. I don't
the movie. Hey.
I don't block users or anything, so I'm not going to block him. There probably wasn't any. It was no malintent, I'm sure, but watch it anyway. I'm telling you, it is a freaking experience, man. The movie is so good.
Crying, watch the movie because it is an awesome film. I was going to say one of my favorite things about it, is Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat. She is fantastic in it. She's a fantastic villain, but she's just fantastic in this movie.
Yeah. And no, Sarah, I didn't even see Endgame. So, yeah, it would have. I'm not a Marvel guy. I'm excited for Spider-Man No Way Home because I want to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, and I'm hoping they're in it. But I'm not a Marvel guy, so I didn't see that. And then also you saw the spoiler, but you're still going to watch it.
Watch the movie. I mean, watch the film. I mean, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I mean, I'll say this too, as I love the director Mike Flanagan. I think his work is some of the best, and he's one of my favorite modern directors. I mean, from Haunting of Hill House, I haven't seen Haunting of Bly Manor yet, but Haunting of Hill House on Netflix is amazing. He took a sequel to a first movie that not a lot of people liked, Ouija 2 or Ouija Origin of Evil, and was better. Rose the Hat love. Yeah, I loved Rose the Hat.
Hey, real quick, crying. I don't know if you've ever gone for a digital code, but I want to give you mine really quick for Dr. Sleep so you can watch it. I have it right here. If you want to take a screenshot of that and redeem that code so you can watch it, because it's fantastic. And I think that you should see it. And then, sorry, I deleted the comment. Yeah, you're fine. Like I said, I know there was no ill intent there. It's been out for 2 years. I totally get it. I just didn't want to spoil anything for anyone. But you're fine. You're totally fine. Sarah said she already read the book, so it's fine. No hard feelings. But yeah, go ahead, Justin. Sorry, I just wanted to. Crying said something about watching. You're fine. So I wanted to.
No, but yeah, I mean, just even if you know about the ending, go and watch the movie though, because it's awesome. And again, it's a shame that it didn't do well. I was surprised that it did not do well at the box office. I thought it was going to do well, and not a lot of people saw it.
You know why? They missed a golden opportunity. They missed a golden opportunity to market it as a sequel to The Shining, and they didn't do it.
Yeah,
and I understand why, because the movie can stand on its own. But unless you are a true fan of The Shining, you might not have known watching that trailer, because it's not The Shining 2, Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
You should have marketed it more as this is a sequel to a classic movie. But yeah, having said that, I think also at the time the box office was bogged down with Joker. Joker was just
Joker came out and was a huge hit.
Yeah. So
Bride of Frankenstein. I absolutely loved it. I actually preferred over the original Frankenstein. So love it. Bride of Reanimator. Actually, I almost pulled that one. I think that's great. I love it. So
I'll redeem that now. I appreciate it, Nick. No problem. Redeem it now. And
enjoy it, Crying.
Watch it when you get a chance, because it is fantastic. All right, Justin, give me a sequel.
So I've already pulled the best sequels, but I have some in my mind that I could talk about real quick. And one of them is that poster there, which you can't really see the title, but that's Fright Night Part 2. 1988's Fright Night Part 2, a probably, in my opinion, the most underrated sequel. I mean, I'll just say this now. Where is the Blu-ray? Why is it taking so long for that movie to get a Blu-ray? Because I think it's not only, like I said, it's an underrated sequel. In my opinion, the most underrated horror movie sequel. But one of my favorite sequels. And that was a lot of memories of me going in the video store, mom and pop video stores, and renting that movie. And I think I watched it more than the first one growing up. I love Fright Night Part 2. I'm glad I have the out of print DVD, but that is a movie that needs a Blu-ray release, and hopefully one day we get it. For me, it takes place 3 years after the first movie, but it's a great double feature to watch the first movie and watch Fright Night Part 2. Julie Carmen as Regine in this movie. She's great. She's the villain, but you can also sympathize with her because she's going out for revenge for the death of her brother. So if you guys haven't seen Fright Night, I'm going to leave a spoiler there, but she's going out for revenge, and love that character. Love Roddy McDowall as Peter Vincent. I mean, classic. And for me, I love Fright Night Part 2. I would love to know if anybody else has seen Fright Night Part 2 and what they think of it, because I love it. Pet Sematary 2. I almost pulled that one. That's a great one.
Sarah said that she thinks it's underrated, needs a Region 1 Blu-ray.
I agree. It does have a Blu-ray overseas, but we need one. Yeah, we need a Blu-ray here. I know that movie had a lot of history as far as the release of it goes. I believe the Mendez murders, the Mendez brothers, their dad, the one that they murdered, was actually producer or a distributor for Fright Night Part 2. And so when those murders happened, they pulled Fright Night Part 2 out of the theaters, and it only was in theaters, I think, for 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's funny. I love like crime and stuff like that. I watch a bunch of crime stuff.
Yeah.
And I watched all about the Menendez brothers, and I thought that case was wild. That whole thing was wild. But anyway.
Yeah, their father was the producer. He distributed this movie, and yeah, they pulled it because of it. Yeah, it's a shame. It's one of those sequels that I know we're gonna have physical media for a while, but I hope before like it becomes obsolete that we get at least a Blu-ray copy of Fright Night Part 2, because it deserves a Blu-ray release.
Well, there is a movie that, because Justin said at this point, sorry guys, I'm also ordering dinner right now.
Oh, you're good.
So on my laptop, but because I want to keep going, so we're gonna keep going. I'm just gonna order my food right now. But the last movie that I had pulled that I didn't have on my mind was one that I wanted to talk about near the end of my list, because I've talked about these movies a lot. Justin's gonna agree with this. So, and it's Halloween 3.
I almost pulled that too.
Yeah. Look, you guys know I love the Halloween movies. You know I love Halloween 5, and that's got a soft spot. Everyone knows Halloween 4 is great. It's a great sequel. Everybody, Halloween 3 is just so underrated.
Yeah.
And I pulled this edition because I've already shown the Steelbook, so I wanted to show just the 30th anniversary Silver Shamrock edition, as they call it. And I also love that, I reversed the art on the inside, so I have both types of art. But this edition, first of all, was just great because we finally got special features. We never had gotten that at this point. But Halloween 3, just such a fun 80s sci-fi horror movie. Got great actors. Daniel Herlihy as Connell Cochran, Tom Atkins, the mustache, Stacey Nelkin, Nancy Loomis. I mean, I love Halloween 3. I think it's super, super underrated. And so that's just another one I wanted to talk about. And I know, Justin, you love it too.
I love it. It's so good. I'm so happy that movie, even though it's still underrated, I am happy that more people are seeing it and loving it and appreciating the movie now. I remember seeing it on TV for the first time and loving it right away. And the only copy I had for a while until I got a DVD copy was a recorded VHS tape of the movie. I recorded it off of TV. I loved Halloween 3 then. I still love it now. And yeah, a lot of memories with that one. So I almost picked that. So awesome choice there.
Yep. And then let's see. Sarah says, oh, damn. I am sorry. Yeah, you're in the UK. I don't know. You might have to rent it. You might have to rent it online.
You might find it if Amazon UK might have it to rent. Yeah. Like, I would go ahead and get it. Yeah. Go watch it. Yeah.
Physical media will never die.
I agree.
Swap roles of Gabe and Ellie because they couldn't find a child to portray young Gabe's role, yet they did in '89. Why not just age him? I think that was part of it, but I also think that they wanted to throw people for a loop and subvert your expectations. The problem is that would have been great had you not shown it in the trailer. They showed it in the trailer, so you weren't going to be subverting anyone's expectations because you literally showed it. That's a mistake on their part. And then Sarah says, hated Halloween 3 the first time I watched it back in '95, and now I love it. Yes.
I want to talk there. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I was just going to say Halloween 3, but you go ahead.
Love it. No, Sarah's comment about physical media. Physical media will live on. Us collectors, yes. But I brought up that thing of eventually it's going to go obsolete, and we still hopefully we'll have some of these movies come out. But, as studios now, some go to streaming, it's like I still want to get like a Fright Night Part 2 on Blu-ray before anything happens. That's what I meant by that. So, but yeah, physical media, us collectors, we're still going to love it and we're still going to purchase it and it's going to live on. But I just hope we get some movies out before studios decide to pull the plug.
And that's the thing. That's the thing too, that I think we as collectors and horror fans need to understand, guys, that this is all on us. Physical media is never going to truly die if we continue to buy it. If enough people continue to buy it, it's not going to die. So do your part and just make sure you continue to buy it. Make sure that you are letting these companies know that you love physical media. It's the same thing right now. I know with things are weird with COVID right now, and I totally understand that. Go at your own pace, absolutely. But I want to let you guys know, I think it's very important that once you are fully vaccinated, go to the theater. Go back to the movies and reinvigorate the box office, because too many people are going to get complacent with watching things at home. And I'm sorry, but watching a movie like Godzilla vs. Kong at home is nothing compared to it in IMAX. I saw it in IMAX first, and then I watched it at home. The experience alone is worth it. So I just continue to buy these things. Continue to go out and do these things, because it's very important for the industry. Very important.
I agree.
But Justin, what's another sequel you had on your mind?
Well, let's see. Let me think of something. I pulled all the ones. Let's see. I had I was thinking about a couple of them. I guess, like, speaking of like Conjuring universe, I'll talk about this. I thought Annabelle Creation was pretty awesome. I thought that was an improvement over the first Annabelle, and I love it. I actually overall even love Annabelle Comes Home, but Creation was so good.
Annabelle love Creation that is the best spinoff in the Conjuring universe.
I agree. Yep.
And then
I agree with that.
I also really enjoy The Nun.
I did too. I really enjoy that.
I think it's fun. I'm not going to say that it's a masterpiece, but I think it's fun. The first Annabelle, such a disappointment. I mean, such a disappointment.
So, I just pulled this. I almost was going to pull it and decided not to at first, but I know this one gets some hate, but I personally love this movie. Poltergeist 3.
Oh, yes.
I love Poltergeist 3. I think, while the first one is my favorite, I think this is definitely, in my opinion, the second best. I do really enjoy Poltergeist 2. Overall, love it. But for me, 3, I have more memories with this one. I remember as a kid being scared of it, but I think the practical effects in this movie, awesome. I mean, yes, nothing beats a theater experience. Absolutely. But yeah, the practical effects, fantastic. I love them. I still love them. I love the setting. I like the fact that they took a Poltergeist movie out of like a suburban, everyday neighborhood home, and they put it in a Chicago building with like glass mirrors everywhere. Well directed. I know this movie gets hate, and I know it's very sad because obviously after this movie, Heather O'Rourke, she passed away actually like towards the end of the making of this film. But I love Poltergeist 3. I think it's awesome. Absolutely love it. Another underrated one.
Yeah, Poltergeist 3 is. I think Poltergeist 3 is actually fantastic. I remember when I watched it the first time. I remember when I was younger, I didn't really care for. What is it? Poltergeist. Poltergeist 2. I didn't really care for Poltergeist 2. And then, so I watched Poltergeist 3 and I was like, I'll watch it, whatever. I'm probably not going to like it. I loved it. I mean, I thought it was so fun.
It's fun. It's eerie too. It's got some creepy moments in the movie. Like there's some eerie moments like when they go down to the what is it? The garage setting. And even like moments like with the puddle coming to life and pulling them into the puddle, so creepy. The scene where the guy comes out of the pool, the frozen pool, I thought that was great. Like this for me has some of the best practical work in a movie. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I don't think it deserves all the hate. I think this movie is, like you said, fantastic. I think it's fantastic. I love it. So,
yeah, I agree. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm one person that I will speak up at a theater. I have done it many times, and I will continue to do it until people have respect. I mean, I'm not, it's not about being confrontational. I'm just I spend my money that I work hard for to come see a movie and have a great theater experience. And if people want to try to ruin that for me, I will absolutely be like, I can't remember what movie it was. Halloween 2018. Yeah, one of the showings when I went and saw it, and people were just talking. And I at one point, I actually stood up and I turned around and I was like, "Can you guys please shut up? Like, I'm not there for that. If you guys want to talk, watch a movie at home." But
I had somebody once.
Yeah. Other people who like The Nun, yes.
I really enjoy it.
Talking about the sky rise and Poltergeist 3.
Yes. Oh, it's so creepy. Like the setting alone is creepy.
Justin was always like, I know this gets hate, then whips out an amazing movie. Yep.
There we go. Yay. Yeah. I mean, but for the longest time, I'm glad Poltergeist 3 it's getting love now and it has love. But I'm telling you what, like for the longest time, I would hear people say Poltergeist 3 sucks. And I'm like, it does not suck. I think this movie deserves a lot more love than it got when it came out. And I'm glad it's getting love now. I have an original one sheet of this movie. Like, I love Poltergeist 3 a lot. Absolutely love it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, if people want to talk about a Poltergeist movie that sucks, it's the remake. That movie pretty much sucks. But then people just talking about their theater experiences. Yeah, absolutely. Call people out. I mean, you go there, you spend your money. Now, obviously, don't get confrontational, but, respectfully tell someone like, hey, can you please be quiet? And if they don't, walk out, go to someone working at the theater and be like, handle
You want to enjoy your experience. Like, I tell you what, and this could be a whole different, we can make a video on theaters and theater experiences, I think, at some point. But I think I've brought this up. With The Nun, I sat in that theater watching it, and I'm at the end of the group of friends I'm with. So like right next to me, this couple comes in, and this woman sits right next to me, and she's pretty much says, she's like, "Oh, I'm not a fan of horror movies, but my boyfriend is." So I just go with him, and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." The entire time she's talking about how dumb it is, how cliche The Nun is. And there was good 5 minutes of peace where she actually walked out of the theater to go get a refill of a drink, and it was quiet, and I could sit down and enjoy it. I really enjoyed The Nun when I saw it in theaters, but I loved it more when I saw it at home. So, and then Chapter 2 was a whole different experience. Like that first theater experience of mine, I think I told you about it, Nick. Like that was a tough theater experience because yeah, just one of the worst theater experiences. But I overall love that movie. So
yes. Now I'm trying to think of any sequels that come to mind that I might have forgotten about. But I think we've pretty well addressed those. Now in the back portion here, just to close. You know what? I will throw in an honorable mention of Saw 3. I love Saw 3.
love Saw 3.
Love it. But to close it out, I want to quickly address each one of us some sequels that really let us down. I mean, you had high hopes and you just really thought it wasn't very good. And one that comes to mind for me right off the top of my head is I'm trying to think. I just had it, so I guess technically not right off the top of my head. I'm looking at my shelf. I'm trying to remember. Oh God. Yeah. So some that come to mind for me. Lordy. Freddy's Dead. Absolutely.
I mean,
very
I
disappointing.
can talk about it right now.
Mm-hmm. Very disappointing. What do you think?
That movie when I was growing, like the first couple times I saw it, the first time I really didn't like it. Second time I saw it, I said, got some good moments. It had some fun moments. I rewatched it the last time and I was like, that's one of those films. I never want to say I hate a movie because I know people do appreciate and love this movie, especially for nostalgic reasons, and that's totally fine. For me, I just completely dislike this. Freddy, before this movie, the humor was starting to come out. Robert Englund's the best thing about this movie, hands down. But like, it was just humor, and all the scares were gone. Like there was nothing. It was like you watched the first movie, or you when you saw this movie and you look back at that first movie is scary. This became comedy, and I don't like this one. So that's actually one I just don't like.
Yeah, Sarah, I actually like part 2 and part 3 quite a bit.
I'm gonna say this: Jason Takes Manhattan. I love it. I know that one's a lot of people's least favorite, but I love that movie. So
okay, and then Crying. It's a fun dumb movie. Yeah, I mean, but for me, my thing is, I just don't even find it fun. I just find it kind of dumb. It's just, I remember a couple weeks ago when I watched it for the first time. It was the only Nightmare movie I hadn't seen, and I was like, before I do my ranking, I have to watch it. And I documented it like on my Instagram story. I was like, all right, I'm going to watch it now. Like, and halfway through, I was on my phone because I was so bored. I mean, I was so bored, and I watched the whole thing. But yeah, I just really don't care for it. But again, a lot of people could say that about Halloween 5. So it's like,
I know. Like I said,
if you love it, if it's nostalgic for you, like I totally respect it.
Totally appreciate it. As well, Jason Takes Manhattan. I know a lot of people do not like Jason Takes Manhattan. People call it Jason on a Boat, Jason in Canada or Vancouver. But I love Jason Takes Manhattan. It's one of my favorites. So it's like probably ranks number 6 for me. So, and that's the one a lot of people hate. So
what's another one that was really disappointing for you?
So I didn't see this in theaters, but it came out the same weekend as Halloween 2, and I think I know, you probably know what I'm going to talk about. The Final Destination, aka Part 4. I mean, I got this for $1, so it's $1 purchase, and I was going to rank all of them, so I'm going to watch it eventually again. I bought it the first time out. This is not the first time I've had this movie. I had the Blu-ray with the slipcover and everything. Man, again, you talk about a movie that I hate to say I hate something. I just really dislike this, though.
It's bad.
It's bad. It's bad. I mean, no, the characters are not good. You don't like any of them. Even the ones you're supposed to like, you don't like. Any of that suspense or build up to a death was gone in this. And for me, it was gone. I just very, very, very bad. Final Destination.
And
Final Destination 5 is awesome.
I also will never forgive that movie because it took, and I'm sorry, this is petty, guys, but I mean this. Since 2009, I have felt this way about this movie. I will never forgive that movie because it took the #1 spot at the box office away from Halloween 2.
Halloween 2. Yep, I remember.
I thought Halloween 2, more people should have gone and seen that movie than The Final Destination because that movie is garbage. Absolutely. Yes. I just do not like it. It's boring. It's everyone. You hate all the characters.
Yeah.
And some of the kills are just like the pool one. What? Like,
I know.
I'm like, what? Why?
I know. I know. I agree. I was the same way. It was like you had people that went to go see Final Destination or Halloween 2 that weekend. I saw Halloween 2 opening night. And we talked about Halloween 2. I love it. It's a shame that movie didn't do as well. And this one grossed, I was talking about it the other day, I think it grossed $186 million because everybody thought this was the final one.
Yep.
I speaking of a sequel I love Final Destination 5. I think it's great. It's not the best of the franchise, but I think it was definitely way better than this. And that one, even though it did well, a lot of people didn't see Final Destination 5 because they thought it was going to be another one of part 4.
And 5 is good. 5 is good.
Yeah, I love it.
Ben Grimm says you didn't mention Leprechaun in the Hood yet. Oh, my God.
I mean...
I don't want to mention it, Ben.
It's better than Leprechaun in Space. Just saying.
We got some love for Jason Takes Manhattan. Rachel Talalay needs to be ashamed. New Nightmare was a refresher and brought back the original class in a clever way. Yes, absolutely. I'm glad that wasn't the final destination. Yeah, you and me both. Yep. Sarah says not mentioned yet, but I love Jaws 2. Same.
I love Jaws 2. I almost pulled that. I love Jaws 2.
Love Jaws 2. FD4 was directed by the same person, I think, who did the second movie, which is shocking. Yeah. Final Destination 2 is awesome. And I will never, ever, ever drive behind a truck with logs on it. I don't think anybody will after that movie. And also, underrated, one of my favorite deaths in that movie is when the kid's leaving the dentist's office. And
it's so, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have to say, like, I love 1 through 3 and 5. Like, 4 just is terrible.
Yeah, 4 is just really bad. Yikes. Yeah, it is a big yikes. Crying says FD4 is bizarre. I think bizarre is being too kind. There are other words I would use for it, but I'll never, ever. I mean, I just remember that weekend. I really wanted Halloween 2 to do so well. And because Halloween did really well. Rob, it still holds the record for Labor Day weekend. And I was like, hell yeah, Halloween 2, like, because I wanted another Halloween movie because I never want Michael to go away. And I was just so bummed. I was so bummed. And I was like, all these people went and saw this crappy movie instead of Halloween 2. And also part of it is Dimension's fault. You should have released it in October. It's a Halloween movie. Like, we don't want to compete with Saw. Yeah, well, by that point, it was Saw 6, and nobody went and saw Saw 6. Although I do like Saw 6. It only made $60 million. Like, it was the lowest grossing. So,
speaking of Halloween 2, though, I don't know if you remember this, because I remember very, very vividly remember this. They decided to release Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 on Halloween night that same year. And don't quote me on this, I think it did better that night than it did its first run in theaters. And I'm like,
pretty sure it made over $1 million that night, just in one
and
night.
I'm like, why not release that movie in October when it's supposed to be released in October? Dimension was weird. I mean, they were just weird.
Well, they started that crap with H2O. Summer releases. H2O was July. Resurrection was August. Halloween and Halloween 2 were August. And even Halloween 6 was September. The last one up until 2018 that came out in October was Halloween 5. Ben Grimm says we need new Final Destination. They're actually making one right now.
They're making one. I'm looking forward to it. So.
Yep. And then Sarah says, Mom and I will yell at my dad to pass the logging trucks. Yeah. I won't even go near them. Nope.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So you mentioned Final Destination for. Oh yeah, you don't want to spill that water, bud. Let me think of one that I thought was a bummer. I guess we'll keep it in the same vein. We mentioned Leprechaun in the Hood. God, that's terrible. I really, 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 really dislike Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. I know why people have a soft spot for it. It's fun, it's wacky, it's out there. I just think it just wasn't Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And when I watched that movie, 90% of it is Leatherface screaming the whole time. Matthew McConaughey is a great actor, but he definitely overacts in that movie. Absolutely. I know that was the point, but that movie was such a bummer to me.
Yeah, I like it. I enjoy it quite a bit. I mean, it's not top 5 favorites, and I don't even love it, but there's some charm with it. That was one of those movies I remember as a kid. We had HBO up just for a short time, and at midnight, like, it came on, and I'm like, what is this movie? And I was like, I'm kind of intrigued. It's one of my least favorites, but I kind of have a soft spot overall for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. So.
Well, I like the 2017 movie Leatherface, and nobody likes that.
I thought it was okay. That was probably my least favorite of the bunch. I know it's good quality made movie.
Yeah.
But for me, it wasn't a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No, and the ending is so dumb. How, like, they explain that he gets the chainsaw and wears the faces and he becomes Leatherface, and the red herring they try to throw at you the whole time. It was obvious to me who was going to be Leatherface. It was obvious they were trying to misdirect me. I wasn't dumb. I guess I enjoyed it because it was a breath of fresh air. But I'm not going to bring up the comments about Next Generation in the chat because they're not kind. And Justin likes the Next Generation, guys.
Hey, you know what? I get why people don't like it. I get it, though. I get it.
Christian says Texas Chainsaw 2 is my favorite. I would say sequel-wise, yes. Sequel-wise,
yes.
I think the remake, I don't think anything is better than that, except arguably the original. I mean,
the prequel. The beginning.
The remake and the beginning are, oh my God, those movies are fantastic.
So,
all right, go.
Maybe a little controversy here, maybe a little bit. This is one of those movies where I wouldn't say I completely hate it, but it is a letdown for me. We talked about Child's Play. We talked about this franchise. Every time I watch it, and I do go back and watch it when I watch the franchise. I like it when it starts, but I wind up really disliking just like the like so many things going on in this movie.
I already know which one. Yeah,
I knew it. I understand if people either like or love this. Totally cool. The first half I like. I mean, every time I watch this, I'm like, okay, maybe I'll have a better appreciation for this movie because I always get sucked into that first half of the film. I just feel like they threw way too much in this movie, and I don't know. For me, a letdown.
I completely agree. There are way too many storylines in that movie. And this, first of all, Sarah says she likes Cult of Chucky. Yeah. Hey, I don't hate it. Christian, I'm with you, Justin. I loved Curse. Christian, right at the top of this video, one of my favorite horror sequels I talked about was Curse. I love Curse of Chucky. Cult of Chucky, though, let me tell you, what a freaking bummer. It is not anywhere near as bad, in my opinion, as Seed of Chucky. I really don't think it's that crazy or that bad, but it is just like Curse was so good. And then you go to Cult and you're like, Don Mancini, I think he can't help himself. Oh, I made a very serious, dark Chucky movie and people liked it. All right, now let's go back to the batshit crazy Chucky. And I'm like, come on. Like, all the Chucky dolls, Alex Vincent's acting is not very good in this movie. All the storylines, Jennifer Tilly's storyline, Alex Vincent's storyline, Nika's storyline, it's all very convoluted. They threw way too much at the wall to see what stuck, and none of it stuck because they should have just stuck with Nika the whole time. Yeah. And there's just too much going on. And it's in my bottom 3 of the franchise, actually. I think if I re-ranked it, my ranking last month, I was a little too harsh on Child's Play 3. Child's Play 3 is better than Cult of Chucky. I would probably put Cult as number 2. It's my least, like my second to last. I agree, Justin. You don't have to apologize to me or explain yourself. It's very, 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 very weird.
It's, speaking of Fiona Dorff, like I love her in Curse, and she started off good in Cult of Chucky. I don't know. I think not her, but just that movie for me was a letdown. It was just a letdown.
Yeah, and because Fiona Dorff literally carried Curse of Chucky.
Yes.
Then in Cult of Chucky, they're like, all right, we will reduce you to basically a supporting character.
Yes.
What? Why?
I know.
Like,
I know.
It made no sense to me, especially because the story is her story. She's in the mental institution because she's been blamed for the kills, which also never understood that because of the nanny cam. Never understood that. That was one thing that I think Don Mancini didn't really think through. Curse of Chucky, one of the plot points is that there's literally a nanny cam in Chucky. Like, the footage exists showing Chucky killing people.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I didn't understand that. Cult was interesting. I didn't hate it. Yeah. I don't hate it either. It's just
for me, more a letdown though.
Yeah, Christian 10 pounds of crap into a 5-pound bag. Yeah, I mean, basically. So yeah, no, Justin, that is a great pick. I almost pulled that to talk about it, but I didn't. So I'm glad you did. Another one I want to address. A sequel that was such a letdown. And we haven't talked about these movies on the channel a lot, guys. And I don't know how you feel about them. You mentioned them earlier. This was the first one that I think was pretty bad. Paranormal Activity 4.
Yeah.
I enjoyed 1. I enjoyed 2. And I enjoyed 3. I was surprised. I liked the first 3 movies. I really liked 3. And then 4 was so bad. I hated Paranormal Activity 4. And then after that, I think it just got worse. I didn't like any of them after that. The first 3 are good. Didn't care after that.
Oh gosh, it's been such a long time since I've seen them. I actually bought like all of them for like $14 at some point. But the first 3 are the best. I think part 3 is my favorite. I love part 3.
Yeah, same.
Awesome. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Justin.
But yeah. You what? Let's see. Yeah, I ripped the ticket. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Part 4. Yeah, I did not like that one. And I also did not like, I know a lot of people seem to like this one, the Mark ones. I saw that in theaters and I did not like the Mark ones.
I did
really not like the Mark ones.
I'm really excited that Christopher Landon is attached to the new one. Because I'm interested to see how the new Paranormal Activity is going to go. But yeah, everybody seems to agree that Paranormal Activity 4 is not very good. That's one that funny thing is, guys, I didn't even think about that. I looked at my shelf and that case art, since it's all white with the letters in red, just stuck out at me. And I was like, oh yeah, that movie sucks. And I wanted to talk about that really quick. Yeah, that was a bummer. That was a really big bummer. Give me another bummer, Justin. Let's keep it negative.
Okay, let's see. Again, these are more letdowns than anything, but still, I'll save the best worst movie for last.
Justin is very, very positive. He doesn't like to say, I hate this movie is garbage. He's not like that. I'm more or less positive, but I will definitely say I hate a movie. You won't find Justin saying he hates a movie. So, but what's this letdown?
Well, I'll tell you this. There is a movie I do hate. So I'll talk about the movie I do hate. I rarely use it. Wrong Turn 6, The Last Resort.
Oh.
I mean, yes, granted, a lot of the sequels are not great at all. I wouldn't even say, like, they're good. But Wrong Turn 6, The Last Resort, was just awful. I hated that movie. I rarely use the word hate. I hated that movie, though. I did not like that. I said, they're goofy. You could watch some of them, have a good time with them. But that one, I'm like, I did not like Wrong Turn 6, The Last Resort. Like, I was like, okay, this is where the franchise is now. We're kind of done. An unpopular opinion, I actually really enjoyed the new Wrong Turn movie. I know it's way different, and it's a different Wrong Turn movie. It's actually more of a reboot than a remake. But Wrong Turn 6, the last resort. I hated that movie.
Do you know if Wrong Turn, the new one, is on any streaming? Because I need to watch it.
It's what?
Do you know if it's on any streaming services? Because I still haven't watched it.
I don't know. I could be wrong. I might have a code for it. If I don't, I apologize in advance. But if I do, I will message you and give that to you.
Everybody tells me it was pretty good. Like, I've heard good things about it.
I really enjoyed that movie. I really enjoy that movie. The first movie is the best. I think that is a franchise. There's some that you can have fun with. They're not great. But Wrong Turn 6, The Last Resort, I was like, okay, I draw the line with that movie. I don't own that movie. That is one of the movies I don't own. I actually own the other films because I got a pack with like the first 5. I had 6 at one point and I got rid of it. I said, I don't need that in my life.
Yeah, no, I haven't even seen 6. I stopped watching after 4. That was because I felt like it was getting a little redundant. Ben says he might like Wrong Turn 2 more than 1. Interesting. After the first Wrong Turn, I like the 4th one. I
like the 4th one.
The 4th one isn't bad, but I was getting to a point where I was like, okay, we're basically drawing this string out. Christian says if he doesn't have a code, I got one. Awesome. My little brother keeps telling me I need to watch it. So yes, if anybody could hook me up, that would be awesome. And then Crying says Wrong Turn 6 was basically a porno.
That's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
What, like, is there a bunch of just like stupid sex scenes and nudity?
I mean, it was just like I sat there and I watched it and I'm like, what is this? Like, this is not a Wrong Turn movie. It was not a Wrong Turn movie. That was just, it was bad.
Yeah. So, and then, all right, let me think of another one that I don't like. So we got Justin to say he hated a movie, guys. That's rare. So
that's rare.
He hates that movie. A movie that I hate, and it's a sequel, and I just ranked this franchise, and I'm sorry if anybody doesn't hate this movie. I don't say it. I really don't say it a lot either. I really don't. But I hate Jigsaw. I do not like that movie. I watched it again the other night in preparation for Spiral and found myself, I literally told Brooke when she got home from work, I will never, ever watch that movie again. Ever. I do not like the movie at all. I think that this was 10 years ago. Oh, and he's been an accomplice the whole time, but nobody knew. And I think that the traps were over the top because they were trying to stand out. And Christian and I were talking about this the last week when we did a stream. The Saw franchise, the best thing about the Saw franchise is that every movie has something to say. This movie didn't. You have Saw 6 talking about the healthcare industry. Saw 7 attacks racism. Saw, and then previously throughout the movie, you deal with pedophilia. You deal with just voyeurism, a bunch of different things, obsessions, all that. It always had something to say. Jigsaw didn't have anything to say. It really did not have, it just didn't have much to say. And I see Christian saying, golly, picking on Jigsaw. And I knew Christian was going to say something. But I know he agrees that it's the weakest. And for that same reason, there's no underlying thing to say. What is the message of Jigsaw? Because I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't tell you because there just isn't a message. But I don't know. What do you think?
So I don't want to give too much away because I'm actually going to rank a ranking of this franchise. But I will say, I've only seen it once and I saw it in theaters. I actually really enjoyed it. I did. But I've only seen it once in theaters, so that might change when I rewatch it. My least favorite of the franchise is Saw 5. I'm not a Saw 5 fan. I saw it in theaters. I was let down. I did not see Saw 6 in theaters because I was so let down with 5. And then I saw the final chapter in theaters because I What's up? Um, because I really enjoyed Saw 6. So it's been a while since I've seen that franchise. So I'm gonna go and try to watch most of them this week. This week, and do a whole ranking of the franchise. So we'll see where my opinions change and stand. So
yeah, and we're getting a lot of hate on Saw 6, guys. I love Saw 6. I mean,
Saw 6.
I love Saw 6. I think
Yeah,
that for me
I love
it ranks right in the middle. I think it's my number 5. But I really like Saw 6. I mean, I tried to watch Saw 5 the other night and I fell asleep. Like Saw 5 is pretty boring. I really don't.
I was so that's again. I don't. I was just so let down with it. I don't like Saw 5.
Yes.
I don't like Saw 5. So
Sarah says, "Here's one: Hellraiser sequels. Love 2 and 3, and like 7. The rest, blah." Oh man, I like 2 and 3. Yeah, I think at most, if not all of them after that, are pretty forgettable for me.
yeah, okay. So with that series, and again, I want to actually go back and watch them again because it's been a while. Hellraiser 2, 3, I love those. Bloodline, I might have a soft spot for it, but I really enjoy it. But I want to see the director's cut, or the version that took out a lot of supposedly really great stuff. And then Deader, I think that was part 7. I actually think that's a great one. I got to go back and watch them. I actually want to rank that series too. So
okay, and then got some people coming in and loving on Saw 6. Good, because Saw 6 is a blast. Been coming around to Saw 6, and 5 has been dropping, yes. Then we have Christian, the eternal optimist, saying, I actually dig 5. Hoffman really started being a horrible person in 5. Yes. Yeah, he's a prick in Saw 5. Yeah. He really, really is. But I think that's also part of the reason it drags down for me, because like the whole point was to give people a chance and to try to rehabilitate them. And Hoffman, from the beginning, I don't think he was ever interested in that. I think he was always out for blood. And
yeah,
the only reason that he kept doing it was because he knew that Jill and John knew that he killed Seth Baxter. Because a lot of people, you may not know, that Saw 5 trap, killing Seth Baxter, if you watch Saw 5, you'll see that happened before but I think right before the very first game in the bathroom that we see in Saw. So Jigsaw, it was right when he was at the height of his notoriety. And so Mark Hoffman wanted to kill Seth Baxter. So he killed him and made it look like a Saw trap. And John confronted him and was basically like, I will out you to everyone unless you learn to do things the way that I want them done. So I think the only reason Hoffman ever participated was because he was afraid he was going to go to prison for murder. And I just think that, I don't know, the actor's fine, but I just don't care for Hoffman much. I really don't. I miss John. And I love Dr. Gordon coming back. I just wish we would have gotten more of that, Can you hear me, Justin?
Hey, Adam, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit. For some reason, like somebody was calling in, so I can hear you a little bit. So, but I can't hear you.
Okay, so the last Hellraiser was shot near me. I could have been an extra day, extra if I didn't have to work. Nice. Hellraiser is not garbage. Crying. Some of them are. One, imagine being an extra in a Hellraiser, even a terrible one. Hey, you could say, hey, the rest of your life.
Judgment I liked. It was Revelations that I hated that movie. There's another one I hated, Revelations.
This is another one. I'll always know what you did last summer. I did not care for this one.
It's been a long time, but I didn't like it too much. I actually just bought the 88 Films release. The 88 Films trilogy release. So I'm kind of curious because it's been a while since I've seen part 3. I might, during 4th of July, do a ranking of that franchise.
Yeah. You want juice? Okay. Yeah, no, I agree, Christian. I actually do really enjoy the Hoffman and Jill drama. That's why I love seeing both of them get their comeuppance in Saw 7. Like, I love to see both of them finally eat it because I hated both of them. I hated both of them. Neither one of them. Jill had this complex of, I'm doing what John wants me to do. I'm doing the right thing. And Hoffman had this God complex of, I'm unstoppable. So I love to see both of them get what they deserved in Saw 7. So I definitely agree with that. But real quick, Urban Legends Bloody Mary. What do you think of Bloody Mary, Justin?
Been a long time since I've seen it, but I don't remember disliking it. I do remember seeing it when it came out on DVD. That's actually, I got the 80 films trilogy set back there, so it's been over 10 years since I've seen Bloody Mary, but I liked it. I actually really I liked it. I like that one. Yeah, I really liked it. I liked it.
Hey, stop. No. And then we get, I've only seen Saw 1 through 3. Should I bother with the rest? Yes. Yes.
Go watch them. Saw, for me, personally, Saw 6 I love. Saw 4 was pretty good. Saw 5 I didn't like. Saw 6 I love. I know, again, unpopular opinion, I really enjoyed the final chapter when I saw it, but it's been since it first came out on Blu-ray.
Okay, and then Hoffman.
Nice.
Yes. In Saw 7, Hoffman became a straight-up slasher. By the way, can you hear me better now, Justin?
I can hear you a little bit better. Somebody tried calling in, and so my speaker's not as loud, so I can't.
Okay. Well, also, I'm getting a mic.
Okay.
It's actually out for delivery, so my audio will be much better next week. But yeah, he definitely became more of a slasher in Saw 7. Some people love that, some people don't. Dan says Hellraiser's direct-to-video sequels are rough. Yeah, I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, I haven't seen the last one. What was the most recent one, Justin?
Judgment. It was good. I liked it.
Wasn't the one before that Revelations, or was it Bloodlines?
Revelations. Terrible.
Yeah. Okay. I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer is amazing. I've never seen it. I only saw I Still Know What You Did and I Know What You Did. And I think
I Still Know What You Did Last Summer is pretty underrated sequel. I love the first two movies.
Oh, and then Jill's motive. There's nothing wrong with Jill's motive. It wasn't her motive that was the problem. My problem with Jill was her complex of, oh, well, I'm doing what John wanted me to do. I'm right and you're wrong. She had this she was on a high horse. She was on a high horse of, she felt like she was untouchable and she was doing the right thing. And Hoffman was this terrible person. But in reality, they're both terrible people. And that was my problem. It wasn't her motive. I know she was doing what John wanted her to do. My problem was how she held herself. I just didn't care for, and that's why I didn't like Hoffman that much either, because Hoffman felt like he was God and he was untouchable. So, that to me, I don't know. But Justin,
yes,
you got another one you want to say?
I'll go through these pretty quick. Just two more. Critters Attack, like garbage. Like this was, granted, the first two movies are the best ones. I mean, 3 and 4, I rewatched them. They were okay. Critters Attack, not a fan. If you loved it or liked it, totally understand and respect it, but I did not like that. And then this one, it's not, I don't think it's personally like terrible, but I think we can all agree that we probably didn't need the sequels, but the second Lost Boys movie, The Tribe, I remember buying the DVD when it came out. It had that cool slipcover. I have it on Blu-ray. It's one of those things. It's like, we didn't need sequels to The Lost Boys, but I think the Thirst is actually a pretty solid sequel. So.
Yeah, The Thirst is actually pretty good. I was surprised.
Yeah, I like The Thirst. Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that's going to wrap up the ones we don't want to talk about, the ones that we don't care for much. Look, I don't know about you guys, and I always have to say this because I just feel bad. Justin, I'm sorry if I ever interrupt you or talk over you.
I'm sorry, I do the same thing.
No, it's like, yeah, and I know you think that. You never bother me. You never, so I don't want you to think that. And guys, I'm sorry if sometimes it's hard to hear what either one of us is saying because we're talking over each other. We're both very passionate. I think we both have great ideas, and we're very insightful when we talk about these movies. That's a fake cough. And so sometimes it can get a little all over the place. I can ramble. So I apologize for my rambling, Justin. But I don't know, man. This was a blast.
I had so much fun. So much fun. As always, like
guys, I want to give Justin all the credit here. For the past 2 weeks, he has come up with the topics like that. I have struggled like, what are we going to do? And Justin is just immediately like, how about we do this? And I'm like, wow, Justin, that's a great idea. And so all credit to Justin on these topics lately. He's had some surefire topics that I've absolutely loved. And I don't know. I really enjoyed talking horror sequels, and I'm glad that we kept most of it, just the good ones, because keep it positive. Yeah. Talk about the ones we like. But I don't know. Any final closing thoughts, Justin?
I want to say thank you for the compliment. Yeah, I thought we had so much fun doing. It was remakes last week that I was like, sequels. Let's talk about sequels. So, but thank you for that. But. You know, I came up with the topic, but talking with you and talking with everybody in the group chats, it makes it so much fun though. Like that's why it was so much fun talking about this topic. But no, I had such a blast, man. I always do. I look forward to Mondays because of this. So
do I. Look, Justin has become one of my closest friends recently. I really, really, really appreciate his friendship and his willingness to sit here and ramble with me for 2 hours every week. It's a blast. And I absolutely can't wait to keep doing these, guys. We have real quick, Crying, great stream. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Crying. I appreciate it.
You are always one of the most active, and I love it.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see you next Monday. Let's see. Can I recommend a topic for you guys? Horror TV shows. Yes, we will address that, but I have a topic for next week already that I'm thinking of. And I haven't watched a lot of horror TV shows. Well, that's not true. So yeah, we can do that. What do you think, Justin? Is that something you'd like to do?
I've watched some horror movie some TV shows. But like for future videos, I mean, if you want to do this, I mean, future upcoming Monday episodes, live chats, I mean, we can create like some type of poll where if people want to like, you know, kind of contribute to that or just kind of see what they want to, you know, want us to talk about. Yeah, we can come up with some type of recommended poll. So
yeah. And then love this one-offs that deserve sequels. That's a great topic. And I will tell you what, right now, there is a movie that always comes to mind. Trick or Treat.
I have that, and I have several others. So that is a great video. I think that will be a great live chat.
Yes. And then Charlie chimes in with Jeepers Creepers 3. Yes. Yeah, that was pretty bad. So Justin and I both agree that not for us. Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2, I love the first one. The second one's fun. The third one, just...
I can find... I'm not gonna say I rewatching the third one again. I mean, the first time I watched it, I was like, it's decent. I can find things I enjoy with part 3, but the fact that the whole thing was shot during the day and it takes place during the day, it loses any like effect. So yeah, if part 3 didn't exist, I would not. Yeah, I would not mind.
How did we meet? We met. God, Justin, it was YouTube. It was YouTube. I was a commenter on his videos and whatnot, and then I found him on Facebook. We became friends on Facebook. We started to chat. I don't remember, Justin, were you ever a member on the Halloween message board back in the day?
I was not, but I remember visiting it quite a bit, or just going on the website, HalloweenMovies.com.
Sorry. Got a phone call. Sorry.
You're fine.
But that's how we met.
That's a great thing about YouTube, though, is like you can meet people and create friendships. And Nick, I've known you for such a long time, buddy, that like I consider you a close friend too. Like it's awesome.
And I'm just gonna say this right now. I've been thinking about it. I mentioned it to Justin. It sounded like he said it was something he was up for. I think we're gonna do it in October. I think I'm going to go to Kentucky, and we're going to go see Halloween Kills together. You know, I'm sure Doug will tag along. I'm sure you'll have friends that'll want to come, Justin. I'm all for it. We're going to go see Halloween Kills together, and I would love to do a review with Justin right after we get out of the movie. The two of us in person talking about it, what we thought. I think that would be a blast. We still have never linked up in person, and I think Halloween Kills is a perfect opportunity to do that.
We'll definitely have to plan it. I think that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Let's see. Black Christmas is one for me that could have used a sequel. The 2006 movie could have been a sequel of Tweaked. Yeah, I enjoyed 2006 though. I love it. Yeah. I love it. Always listening to you guys go back and forth. I love to work with both of y'all one day, dude. Dan, absolutely. I was
thank you
last week. Absolutely would love to expand and do some live stream. I have more time during the week at night that I could do some, you know, just one-off streams here and there. Hey, you know, I'd love to get help you out, man. Put you on the channel. All my subs can see you, get to know you. I love content. Love your content. I think that I just think that you have a really good personality, and I think that I would love to see more people get to know you. So yeah, I would absolutely love to have you on, man.
Agreed.
Trick or Treat is my favorite Halloween themed horror movie. Yeah, not mine. Halloween is, but Trick or Treat's right awesome, up there. The polls are a great idea. Well, guys, everybody that's watching this right now, I don't know who's familiar with this or not. Patreon. I have a Patreon page that I just launched last week, and it's basically to help the channel because I pay for the editing and whatnot and the media in my videos, and the Patreon is a way to help do that. And part of the Patreon, one of the tiers is voting power. It just like I think the entry level tier, like communicate directly one-on-one, like voting power, what you want to see. Because I want my subs to tell me what they want to see. So if you guys have the time, please check out the Patreon. It's just the Lost River Drive on Patreon. And we put a lot of work into it. I'm really happy with it. So if you guys have the time, but yeah, polls are a great idea. Justin, that was awesome. Sarah says you guys have been friends for a long time. She loves you.
I love you, Sarah. Oh yeah. Sarah and I go way back. I adore you, Sarah. I love you.
Yeah. So that's that, guys. As always, I have a blast with Justin. Justin, I hope you had a blast again. I hope it's something you want to keep doing.
I want to keep doing it, man. I like I said, my Mondays, I look forward to this, dude. So
yeah, me too.
I consider you a close friend, and you know, I just have an absolute blast doing this. And I always say this, thank you for having me a part of this, man.
No, thank you for coming on. You're the guy with the 4,000 subscribers. You are the guy that I looked up to when I was young. You know, you are that guy. And, you know, I couldn't believe that you were cool with it the one time I asked you. And then you're like, yeah, every week's great. I'm like, no way. That's like mind blowing. So I mean, I absolutely love it. I mean, I really do. And I consider you a very close friend too. And I love these chats, guys. I really love
I do too. I absolutely love them.
We have such engagement with the live chat too. I love how
we do.
People are.
I mean, I was gonna say, everybody watching this and everybody just coming into the live chat, you guys are the best. And I mean, we have a blast doing this, and I love like interacting with all of you guys too. So thank you guys so much for stopping in. And if you've been here the whole time, thank you. If you've just popped in, thank you for that. I mean, just thank you guys so much for you know, enjoying these or loving these live chats, and we, you know, we have a blast doing it.
Yeah, we really do. So,
thank you, Brian. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and because Justin has a great channel and he's a great dude, so it's a great thing that you found him.
Thank you.
Guys, that's gonna wrap up this stream for this Monday under the new name Haddonfield High Alumni. Thanks for being here for 2.5 hours with Justin and myself as we talked about horror sequels, and we will see you back here next Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. So, Nick at the Lost River Drive-In saying so long. Justin?
Ryan 1988, Justin, much love to you all, guys. Much love.
Everybody stay happy, healthy, safe. Go get your vaccine. Get back to life. And I hope you guys have a great week. All right, let's make it a great week. And as Justin would say, your tagline, Justin, tell everyone your tagline. Say it.
In with the positive, out with the negative, but go eat some Skittles, everybody. Go do it.
All right. See you guys
Bye,
later.
guys.